audibly acceptable audiobooks. Right now, you can get over 100,000 million books through the Karak's audio bookstore. New York Times classics like I Married a Werewolf, Teen Bruisers, What Is This Dark Spot, Why Can't I Pull Off My Own Face, and the classic award-winning self-help book, How to Staple Your Mouth Shut by Here is just a small sample of the audio quality that you can expect. He flicked the hair out of his face, the sweat beading off of it, his weight pressed down on her, his lithe form finding comfort in her curves. There was a sensuous quality to her body he couldn't get enough of. He slipped her bra off smoothly and tossed it onto the hard concrete floor. Bill patted the old Corvette with one hand. That's it, baby. Let me know all your secrets. An entire world is waiting for you. Just download them on the go to your Android or that one company that fucking hates headphones, so they remove the port completely. Listen on the go. Pretend you're busy so you don't have to engage with others in society. And that's right, you can do it all from the comfort of your little safety cocoon of sound, you goddamned introverts. It's best if you also don't make eye contact and beat your head like you're cooler than everyone else is. Just $19.99 a month plus taxes and fees and VAT times 2, or our subscription service that's only $19.99 a month plus VATs and fees and service times 2. And allowing our tracking cookies, you can have instant access to all that you desire when it comes to the audio realm. So join Karak's audio and audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks now, for when your eyes are just too fucking lazy to move side to side. And remember, you can't cancel at any time. Karak's audio and audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks. Let's just stop moving as a species, you fatties. Today's podcast is brought to you by Karak's audio and audible, audibly acceptable audiobooks. Right now, you can get over 100,000 million books through the Karak's audio bookstore. New York Times classics like I Married a Werewolf, Teen Bruisers, What Is This Dark Spot, Why Can't I Pull Off My Own Face, and the classic award-winning self-help book, How to Staple Your Mouth Shut by Here is just a small sample of the audio quality that you can expect. He flicked the hair out of his face, the sweat beading off of it, his weight pressed down on her, his lithe form finding comfort in her curves. There was a sensuous quality to her body he couldn't get enough of. He slipped her bra off smoothly and tossed it onto the hard concrete floor. Bill patted the old Corvette with one hand. That's it, baby. Let me know all your secrets. An entire world is waiting for you. Just download them on the go to your Android or that one company that fucking by your focus in games being fractured by poor technology and a style that goes back to the 80s even if you were born in the 90s. Then look no further than ACG Slather Junk. That's right, a new line ACG products that are guaranteed to improve your hip thrust, hip fire, and sniper headshotting kills. Where all other imitators just buy something from a company and have a sticker just thrown on it so they can sell you merchandise, which really only results in you walking around with their head near your tits. Not ACG, baby, no way. These are handcrafted by the skilled five-fingered mittens of yours truly, put together with an aim to increase your juice. Look at these headphones, spray painted with ACG right on their side, and you can't tell me that won't raise your game, elevate your heart rate, and make you the best high-test, low-rest motherfucker on the planet. We've got everything, Jugs, Mugs. By the way,
there we go.
If they're not moving, they look fine. But the moment one of those fucking
Really?
eight-legged centipede-looking pandas try to move her, yes, they look like.
Why not just make the Half-Life 3 cupcake and sell it to everybody, right? Even if it leaves a terrible taste in your mouth, people will still have bought your cupcake. And the analogy breaks at some point, so bear with me, right?
And this one time, my mom bought me a shirt, and I was in high school, and I'd been powerlifting and then stopped. So I was like fucking 280 or something like that. And they were buying for 190-pound kid. So it was like a medium. And I put that on, and it was like a sausage roll with legs, man. And my mom would not stop demanding I put it on. And I'm like, put it on, put it on. Your grandma wants to see it. This might be her last year alive. And I'm like, well, you're not going to die and have the last memory in her life be of me squeezed into this thing like a toothpaste. He'd have dinosaurs delivering your What if all you heard was a scratching at your door, and it's like
it has really small hands, so it can't really carry
and
stuff.
so it's like it's got the box, but it's holding it like a snicker, like this. It's all here's your pill.
You might need to package that.
It'd be a surprise mechanic. Occasionally, the box would open, and there wouldn't be a Tyrannosaurus in it. And other times, so what if there was $1 million in one canister? You drop a railroad car, soundproof, so you can't tell. You drop a railroad car, and there's either a rabid Tyrannosaurus, probably already rabid. So, but you get a Tyrannosaurus in one, maybe some guns on him, and then the other one's got $1 million. And you're like, everybody go there. And if you open the door, surprise, you get one or the other. They look. What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Reg doing Just the Tip podcast 258. 258 on Well, YouTube. We've returned to YouTube. Main reason being that having multiple places just made absolutely no sense, especially with game coverage. These guys are going to be happier. I'm going to be happier. We're just all together. You will probably see the biggest rise to stardom on a YouTube channel ever now that we've made this switch. And I noticed that Reg has the bit of the beard beginning. That's like the YouTube switch. When you go from Twitch to YouTube, you got to get the beard. You got to start growing it. Johnny's already got it. Johnny's also got the, you know, slight, maybe Korean K-pop looking, super dark, like close-knit beard a little bit.
You know what?
I've noticed.
Starting to get some silver in here. So, no, I'm embracing it.
If you guys are noticing Johnny's quiet as hell, that's on me. Give me 1 second. Johnny, give me a check again.
Yeah.
Reg, can I get an audio check from you?
Test, 1, 2.
Okay,
We
guys.
good?
They're back. Sorry about that, peeps. We had to get it figured out. Anyway, they didn't say anything of worth. Actually, what we were doing was we were just teasing Johnny. But you guys are back. Yeah, that was on me. That was the same exact setting that I messed with earlier, but I turned you, instead of turning you like off, I turned you on and then had you at like 2 decibels. I was all, that's that's all I can handle of Johnny is 2, maybe 2 decibels. But anyway, there's gonna be a lot of different stuff that you guys are gonna see on the channel. Oh, go ahead. Good now. Everybody's saying good now. Yeah. So if you guys subscribed on Twitch, feel free to turn all that off. We will occasionally go to, you know, Twitch to do something randomly, that kind of thing. But I think we've all made the switch. Originally, my idea was to get all these guys together and do like a group thing. And then, you know, Reg was, as Reg will do, was just like, I ain't streaming anymore. I'm just joking. Nothing was cornerstoned on him. But we just decided to sort of move and come back here, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. We're going to talk about Call of Duty. We're going to talk about Vanguard. We're going to talk about, well, they're the same thing, Call of Duty Vanguard. I just want to make sure that's clear. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Saints Row getting rebooted, which I'm excited for. We already knew it was getting rebooted, technically. Right?
Right.
I mean, I think... I feel like we already heard that. Yeah, I feel like we heard that. But regardless, we're going to get it. We're going to talk a little bit about it. If you guys go to their website, which I believe is just called saintsrow.com. I don't think there's even anything fancy or smancy about the website. But if you go there, it's just a picture that says the word rebooted, and that was enough for me to get super excited for. Let's see. What else do we have? Skyrim November Anniversary Fishing Unbelievable Edition. That's almost like me. I've changed the name of the podcast as many times as they've released a Skyrim. Like, yeah. Dude, let's talk about that first. Before I'm gonna play some questions. We're gonna talk about Black Myth for sure. I'm gonna play some questions, so that people can hear them. But what do you guys think about Skyrim November Fishing Edition? I mean,
yeah. Breaking all the mods again. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
And it doesn't surprise you, does it?
Not really, no.
I mean, I think they're gonna sell it on everything they absolutely can, and they're gonna resell it. And somebody was telling me it's free, but it's like, it is, but more people are coming into gaming, and the idea of buying an old Skyrim they may pass over. But the idea of buying a new November Anniversary Skyrim, they will not, because people are fucking all the time. And because people fuck, you have babies and new people coming into gaming. Thanks for the return to YouTube. Appreciate it, James. Thanks for the super chat. You rock. We also got some live, not so live. They were live when they recorded them. Questions.
That's how recordings
live
work.
at one point.
Yeah, they were live at one point. Hopefully everybody's still alive, but we've got some questions from newcomers and oldcomers alike. That sounds really sexual. What have you guys been playing? Anything good that you can talk about?
Oh yeah.
I mean, yes, 12 minutes, for example, which Johnny also played through.
Yeah.
Finished that one. And something else I can't remember right now.
Why don't you guys tell me how 12 minutes, which is a point and click / whatever adventure game, how can that be clunky? Because every person has told me that's clunky. How does that come off as clunky? Aren't you just hitting left and right?
Well, the perspective is top down, like you're looking from the top down into the room.
Gotcha.
So you click around and sometimes like you bump into the other person. That happened a couple times.
Oh, I see. And so it's not necessarily the camera. Is it collision detection then?
Yeah,
Well,
it's it's if the other person like walks on a schedule, basically you have those 12 minutes, and within those 12 minutes you have a scene that's going to play out in one way or in another. And if, for example, your partner that you're in the flat together with moves to the table and you click somewhere else, they sometimes bumped into each other. That's about as glitchy as it got for me. Yeah, everything else worked fine.
And you noticed that?
Yeah, sometimes it was a little bit odd with how they bumped into each other, but that really was the worst of it. So I wouldn't really call that a standout issue.
Right.
I mean, for me, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, so to jump in, for me, the thing is stuff moves in the scene more than other point and clicks.
Right. Yes.
So for me, when you're trying to interact with stuff as they're moving and you're trying to say, okay, now use this item on this person, there were a lot of times where it didn't quite work out, or, you know, they were in the middle of something else and then that interaction didn't work. And, you know, it was a bit tricky.
Michael Scott interrupted us to say something quite important. He said Skyrim Anniversary Edition is not free according to their website, even if you have the older special edition, the other special edition. Okay. Can somebody check on that? It's not that I don't believe Michael. I think he's absolutely, but there's been some communication issues. I just want to verify that, because if so, that's going to change my entire discussion. Is this a green screen? Fuck no. This is my house.
It's a new studio, man.
This is a new studio.
No, that's just the smallest room in your house.
Bro, the closet, bitch.
Yeah.
This is the closet, man. I am so high scale that I put my clothes on a couch so they're comfortable. That's exactly how high scale we are. We couldn't even get the mics working at the starting. Of course this isn't my house. Yeah, it's a green screen. But I appreciate you asking and assuming that I would spend money on my house and not something stupid like a fucking drone. I still can't fly. We could talk about that. We're going to talk about technology and how it kills you later. That's for sure, because I have some stuff that's just like, damn. Some people did super chats. We have new members. Woo! Sorry about that, dog. Woo! Is Craigie joined? Name band again joined. I appreciate you guys showing up. And I do want to say, is it better for you to donate on Patreon? Patreon's probably the best, because then you can come into the Discord. I do want to say thanks to all the support for you guys coming in. I've talked about this before, especially, and you'll notice this. Everybody, Johnny Plays Live, or Johnny, not our Johnny, sorry, Johnny, Happy, I'm so accustomed to talking to you, but Happy Console Gamer, that Johnny, other reviewers that I've talked to, reviews are a little less useful now than they used to be. That's the honest truth. You have Game Pass deals, you know, right? And there's only a couple exclusives, some PlayStation ones, a couple Microsoft ones that don't go to PlayStation, and of course Nintendo, who's just exclusively stupid. So reviews are not doing that well for anybody. And if you don't believe me, even look at IGN's numbers. They're trash. Reviews are not like exploding anymore, which is fine. I was aware of that, and it's something that you guys have noticed when I occasionally do a goofy video. Now, I get some shit. People hated my dog video. They were all over me having a good time. They were like, because YouTube's a different beast than Twitch. They were like, how dare you waste my time with this free content? And I get you. I get you. Your time is that important to me. But seriously, you're going to see some goofy stuff. You'll see changes to the thumbnails. You'll see walking the walks. I do have a walking the walk done. We're going to return to those. But support is needed, even if it's just a subscriber. That's awesome. But tweeting it, putting it on forums, it does help. And this is one of the things that you'll notice with these guys. They help me occasionally with reviews. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more previews. But the best thing is, in the past, if you have watched a Fun Factor Explained or a review, or you have heard me talking about a game and I say, hey, I'm getting to it, the problem with that is that I was doing those secondary parts of those reviews on Twitch, which was helping no one. Barely anybody was coming from YouTube. They were just on Twitch. And so what this allows for me to do is to say, hey, here's 5-6 previews, impressions videos, and during the podcast, we're going to break out a specific section so that we can say, and these games that I didn't get a chance to review, I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and then we'll talk about it as a group as well. Now, I know some people probably don't want us talking about it as a group, not because these guys suck, but because you come for, like, stupid one-liners. Well, branch out, motherfuckers. All right. Will you return to Ham? Right now, I am just concentrated on my stuff. Ham, I believe Ham is changing their format a little bit, too. But guys, it's a weird It's a weird situation, and these guys luckily have been cool enough. I feel bad, because like Johnny was on Twitch, and so me moving here takes some of that, not support. It's not like I was, helping his channel much, but still, it does. I appreciate these guys making the switch. Who didn't make the switch? Well, who's not here? I'm just joking. Silver just couldn't make it, guys. He was busy. All right. So first thing we're gonna. Go ahead.
I was trying to look up like the upgrade cost for the Skyrim edition.
Yeah, do it.
And from what I'm seeing, it's an unannounced cost, so it's not totally certain if it's gonna cost and how much it's gonna cost. But it sounds like it will be a paid upgrade, because apparently there is an PS5 version of the special edition coming, which will be free, like the PS5 version of the special edition. And then there's the anniversary edition on top of that.
Guys in chat, what do you think of that? Here's why I hate that for multiple reasons. One, because we know they'll fucking break mods. They will.
Yeah.
They'll break mods. They broke
the
mods
special
for the
edition
special
already
edition.
did. Yeah.
That's legit a downgrade for many people who rely on mods.
I believe they said it was free. That's exactly what Reg just looked up. It is not. There is some kind of cost accrued. So I don't know what it'll be.
Unannounced. I mean, the announcement could still end up being it's free, but don't expect it to be free.
Sleeve says he thinks next-gen console upgrades might be free.
Yeah, from what I've seen, the next-gen console upgrade of the special edition, not the anniversary edition.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? It doesn't matter. If we're confused, everybody's confused.
Yep.
Right? So I'm not saying we're smart. I'm saying, but we do track games, and it's confusing, man. It's confusing when
also,
you get all
the
this
fishing,
stuff.
for example, is actually a mod that's being delivered via the Creation Club, also to the special edition. That is not exclusive to the anniversary edition.
Oh. So what's in the anniversary edition?
What is happening? That's not what that's a mod? So what is the November edition?
Every add-on and 500 DLCs from the mod club, from the Creation Club. So it's basically a mod bundle.
But they're already in the... So people already had access to them, right?
Well, yeah. That's the first thing I said when they said, "Oh, fishing." Well, that's already a mod.
I wish this was connected to an actual power cable.
Okay. So just so I understand,
I don't even get it. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Is it that people had to pay for those mods from the community thing, and now they're like packaged, basically, into this edition? Is that the situation?
I don't know if they were paid for. I think it's more like it's just a pre-installed bundle of mods.
Wow.
Dude.
Is there a point at which like this is gonna stop selling, and they're, or can they like get away with it endlessly?
I don't choose to believe what
exactly.
you guys are saying.
Like Detroit in chat said, that's the exact same quote. The anniversary edition is all DLCs plus 500 pieces of mod content. So it's a big package of mods.
Okay.
How's everybody doing in chat? What are you playing? I'm moving on from Skyrim.
Let's move on.
Because this will get me on a rant, and it'll just... You know what I'm going to do? I'll just do a video that people will complain about that's free. So... Everybody in chat, what are you playing? I want to know. There's been a lot of people who are excited for Ghost of Tsushima. But prior to that, we're going to play a question from a viewer. Now, you guys got to bear with me. I think this is going to work. I've tested it, and it worked when I tested it. That means approximately fucking nothing. Because every time I test something, it doesn't mean it's going to actually do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a question from Lord Addict. If you guys know the Lord's podcast, they're awesome. Absolutely incredible people. In fact, probably one of the most genuine communities of people, and it is top down. For example, I'm snarky. So the Discord can be snarky. I get that. Like, I get it, and it's something as the person who runs something. If you're just an ass, then most likely your Discord's going to be an ass, right? Like, that's just how it's going to work out. But Iron Lords, They invited me on, and I got to say, one of the greatest groups of people ever. And I've talked to them all, continually and stuff like that. And so
very genuine, down to earth.
Yeah. So Lord Addict is going to ask a question. I haven't edited these, so there might be a little bit of an audio, hiss and stuff like that. So here we go.
What's going on, you guys? Quick question, real quick. What game in history do you guys think affected the industry as a whole the most? So, like, for example, Halo really, pushed the first-person shooter market. I would say Call of Duty did that as well. But which one do you guys feel affected the industry the most?
And that was it. So what game, his question is, what game do we think had the biggest impact on, like, gaming as a whole? Ooh, somebody's playing State of Decay. Sorry, just had to bring it up because I love that game.
I've been playing that as well with friends. State of Decay 2.
Yeah. Hang on. I'm on your friends list. I don't see an invite. Let me look.
Oh.
Just joking. It's okay. I'm not crying. Okay, so
not jelly.
what is a game, and people in chat can E.T. I knew that was going to come up. What is a game that you feel impacted the industry? And we can do negatively if we want, but I'd rather have us be positive.
Yeah, I was thinking of the original Doom from 1990.
Okay.
Or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Wayback Machine.
Way back.
Why do you think so, though? Just because it hit right?
Because it hit, and it was one of the first popular shooters.
Right.
And it's a massive genre now.
Wouldn't you also say, Reg, that, I mean, unless I'm wrong, I think that it started to remove the nerd/label codex from video games because Carmack was wearing his hockey, his Doom signed hockey jersey and driving a Lambo, and John Romero with his flowing locks like a dark-haired Fabio. Like it removed the nerd from Sid Meier. I love Sid Meier, but Sid Meier never showed up, and people are like, "What's the cool kid doing?" That never happened to Sid Meier. Sorry, Sid, if you're watching for some weird reason. But it never happened to him. But it does feel like Doom, like, I don't know about you, those were the first two developers I knew of, I think. Like,
yeah, the Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, those were like the first games of that kind that I remember playing.
Yeah, and again, the first devs I remember. What about you, Johnny? What's a game that impacted the industry?
I was thinking that WoW had a huge impact. Not only did it sediment the MMO genre into being like a viable genre, but it created like a giant scene in and of itself, and it hit at the perfect time where there really weren't other MMO alternatives. Let's say, right? That was the game. If you wanted to play that kind of game, that was the game, and they kind of hit at the perfect time. I also thought about CS:GO, which continues to be, massively played. It had a huge esports scene, and really maybe was the beginning of the esports scene in some way, in some potential way.
I would actually also agree a little bit there because WoW was so impactful that Dragon Age Inquisition, actually, they hired devs to make the game like WoW, which is why we got the game we got, Hinterlands. But that's not it. Dungeons and Dragons, 3rd and 3.5 editions, hired video game developers to make Dungeons and Dragons like a video game. That, to me, indicates it reverse nerded itself. It's so nerdy that it went back to the original nerd starting, which is D&D, which is role-playing, which existed before video games. That's pretty nerdy. That's pretty nerdy when they go back and they steal those people and say, you did it right. Now we want our not our card game, but our tabletop game to play like your video game. That's pretty impressive to me. So yeah, I think WoW's a good one. Looking here, some people have said Morrowind. Hey, listen, I love Morrowind, but I mean, I don't know if it WoW that's a killer. WoW. Yeah. Christians got mad at Doom. That's true. And I love this. Zen Zero says, and all the Christians got mad at Doom, but it's like, yo, chill, man. We're killing demons. It is true. That is true. That's killing the messenger right there. I had never thought of that That is awesome. That is absolutely true. It's like you would think they'd be like, hey, good job, here's a cross, but whatever, they didn't. Lawbreakers.
Well, you're taking away their job.
Somebody said Lawbreakers. Half-Life 1 did some severe advancements. That's absolutely for sure. Prelt says, for me, it was Shadowrun on Sega Genesis. Had save files, a long story, RPG ideas that sprang from the tabletop game, which pushed that idea as well while being a top-down shooter. That's a really good example. Is Craigie has or said, oh, another game would be World of Warcraft, right? Yeah. Covered Splinter Cell. Those are good, but I would say I'm trying to think of what my answer would be. What would my Guitar Hero, the rhythm genre
Oh,
did.
man. Yeah, those had a...
My brother, who's like outlogging, got Guitar Hero. But then, of course, broke the guitar day one because he thought it was like real guitar. And it was just these buttons. And he was so mad. I watched him because he was living with me. He bought it. And I'm like, you can return it. And he's like, fuck that. This is my family's way of dealing with anger. Instead of returning it and getting his money back like Reg would do, he went outside. There's a trash can. And he just lofts that thing into the trash can, has the end of the guitar, and it's just like,
yeah.
I was like, that's legit. That's a well-adjusted person. That's a person you should trust financially.
So.
Yeah, and in relationships. Oh, don't sleep on Pokemon. That's true.
Yeah.
I heard that was Regis disapproving. Wasn't
Well,
it?
because Pokemon is huge. Like it's the biggest media franchise of all time, but it's Pokemon. I'm not sure what games like it really
Ooh, that's
spawned.
a good point. That where WoW spawned everything.
Right, because we're talking about impact, right? Not just games that did well, because then we could be here all day.
Venom says, Ven N says, Polish clergy had a campaign before Doom 2016, where in churches they tell people this game is satanic spawn and literally play trailers. That's the way to. Can you imagine a kid in the back going, that game looks legit? You're trying to. That's almost like the Bible. They're like, don't do this, don't do that. And the entire time, everybody's like, when I get home, I'm doing all this. I'm doing everything.
Hell yeah.
With
That's
3
a shopping
people.
cart. Yeah.
It's just check my box. Check my box if you get my drift. My answer, man, those are both. So I'll go platformer then and Metroid. I think Metroid, there were a lot of platformers like Alex Kidd and stuff, but man, Metroid has its own namia now, right? Metroidvania.
Vania?
Yeah, dude.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can just add Metroid to the start. You could say Metroid Souls, and I bet you people would know exactly what you meant. They would know exactly what you... And that's a little bit like we're getting with Dark Souls, but it's too long in the... it's too, far along. But, man, Metroid... I didn't like Metroid. I'll be brutally honest, I wasn't a huge fan. But, man, you couldn't go to school without some fucking nerd, pimply-faced nerd, probably me, with my friends, and somebody mentioning that damn game. Just
next month, right? The new one, Metroid Dread. Isn't that
Metroid
next
Dread.
month?
Can I tell you
November?
guys how shitty of a name that is?
No,
Can we all
October.
agree that Metroid Dread is probably the shadow of Gyranine kind of name for Metroid we hoped it wouldn't get? Isn't that a pretty bad name? Metroid Dread?
Well, it's like a mascara running down your face. It's like
Oh my
Metroid
god,
Dread.
the emo, the raccoon,
Yeah.
the emo, and it's just like the drip like an old 1990s magazine, that you'd read and see their full ad. That's so true. What were you going to say, Johnny?
Well, I was just
Power
like a honorary mention to wrap up the topic or the question for MOBAs. So, the original Dota, which was a Warcraft 3 mod. Not mod, but like custom map, right? I think one dude created that as a concept that blew up. And then eventually, there were many games that did it, but League of Legends was the one that kind of blew up initially. And then Dota 2 has crazy esports scene. So that also created a whole genre. So I guess you would trace it back to even that modest Warcraft 3 custom map and how big of an impact that had.
I know I'm cynical, and so I'm sure a lot of people just think, man, he hates games. Even when I like a game, there's something I'll be like, dude, gaming's awesome. Gaming's so fucking legit. It's so incredible. I was talking to Lord Cognito from Iron Lords, and he was talking about something else, and I randomly interjected in the middle of the discussion. I was like, gaming's fucking awesome. It didn't 12 minutes. Okay, so 12 minutes sucks, right? Great. It's clunky. But dude, Daisy Ridley and William Dafoe are in it. Mickey Rourke was in True Crime 2. Look at Vice City. Vice City had an entire gangster mob filled of voice actors in one game. And that was years ago. And now we're looking at these incredible games with, and not all of them are awesome. And I'm okay with that too. I know a lot of people like want every game to be good. It's not the way it works. In fact, I think without some bad, it's hard to measure. You know, like Gene Rain. Gene Rain is my measurement for the next like 15 years. I don't need another bad game. But, you know, there are some bad games out there. But it's awesome, man. It's awesome. If anybody who's watching, you know, I see you sometimes, man, sneak into the comments and, you know, you're down on everything. And it's like, I got to tell you, one product, look at movies. They only have a couple big movies a year. Games, guys. I mean, okay, Oxenfree, not the biggest game in the world, but my biggest game maybe in that entire generation. And it's not, what would that be called? Would that be an indie movie, the comparison, probably? Or a student movie, maybe? A student movie, maybe a high school.
It's higher quality than student movie.
It is. But it's just, it's so awesome, man. And yes, I'm a fan of Daisy Ridley, so maybe that's why I want to play 12 minutes. But I'm a huge, I like it a lot.
We can talk about 12 minutes later because Reg and I finished it as well.
At least you played it and finished it. Detroit says, what's the most underrated game? See, here's the problem. There is no underrated game. This is the same thing that pops up with reviews. People will be like, my God, man, the reviews are so divergent in this game. And I'm like, nope. Go look at Ocarina of Time and tell me there isn't a 1 out of 10 somewhere. And I don't even mean a 1 out of 10 from a fan. I mean almost all games have a divergent, you know, some of the major, you know, groups might rate it high, but there's usually 1 or 2 groups that don't. IGN's been it before with a 4 for some game. They gave a 10 to Cyberpunk, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then dropped it to a 4 later, which, well, yeah, I just found that out. That's a whole nother thing. But you guys get my drift. Like, I don't know, underrated. Do you guys have an underrated? Maybe one that you don't hear talked about? How about that? What's a rare, and anybody in chat can answer this, what's a game you'd think is really good, but for whatever reason, it's not out there as much as you would like?
I mean, I think that Neo 2 doesn't get talked about as much as I would expect it to. Because for me, that's legit one of the best games in the genre to ever be made. And it got some hubbub when it came out, but it kind of died down pretty quickly.
I absolutely agree. I think that game is slept on or something. Yeah. Reg, do you have one?
The only thing I can really think of, like underrated, would be the choice of products.
Oh, yeah, the choose your own adventure choice of. Yeah, you just never hear about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
like
good.
It took me forever till I even stumbled across them.
Oh, you didn't even stumble across them because I was always bitching about them?
Yeah.
You just randomly found them yourself? See, there you go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Everybody I know who's found them, whether it is from me or like you randomly, likes them. You know, admittedly, you probably wouldn't get it if you didn't already look at that genre and find interest.
Well, of course. I mean, if you look at it and you see a lot of text and you're like, no, I'm out of here, then it's not for you.
Yeah, it's maybe quite
Takedown,
niche. But
I would love to buy Takedown, the $99 group of those, and see how long he could play on stream. How long that dude could last in a stream.
Like the full collection, do a 24-hour run.
What headset does ACG use?
Nobody knows.
These are Philips open backed. And to be honest, they're not bad. I don't like open backed headphones at all, but these are not bad, especially if you have puppies and you got to make sure that they're not doing something they shouldn't be doing, so you can hear outside noise. On the other hand, everything can be heard, including I had to go in and noise gate these guys because I noticed that like I was getting a weird little double tap. So other than that, you know, thank you for what you do. You're welcome. Here's a question I want to answer, because I did it, and I want to make sure people don't take it to heart. Somebody up there asked, what do you think about everybody dissing on IGN? Gandhi, that's a perfect name. What do you guys think about people constantly shitting on IGN? I would say people don't. Some people do. There's a lot of people who love IGN. And there's people who hate me. There's people who love me. There's people who love, like, some of the weirdest reviewers that don't really even review the game. They just, look at Citizen Sleeve. He did main menu title screen reviews for a while, which I sort of enjoyed. But, I mean, I think people are mostly looking for truth, and if they feel like they're not getting it, then there might be some issues. We talked about that earlier. Johnny and I were talking about it prior to the podcast, where I see a lot of people talking about audio in games, but I can tell I think they've just picked up
empty bullet points in a script.
There's some stuff, but it doesn't really do anything. And you're just like, whoa, Necromunda. Haha, I got it right. I stuttered, but Necromunda had huge issues, and there were multiple people who did not say anything about that. And it was shocking and also a letdown, because this is an industry where we buy our headsets, right? This is an industry where we care about audio most of the time. Some people are still playing on their flat screen TV with their one mono speaker, but most aren't. Yeah. Most aren't. And it's a disservice. And it's a disservice to talk about it if you don't know about it. There are some things you will never hear me mention in a review. Or, for example, one thing I pull away from mostly is story, as in rating the story, unless it's bad or really good. And one of the reasons why is because I am not a professional storyer. Like, that's not my thing. I don't get as emotional as, like, Johnny, maybe. Johnny might get,
Hey.
You do.
Okay.
Hey.
You do.
I do. Listen, I cried a little bit in Hellblade.
Yeah, I've never cried. It hasn't even... The idea hasn't even come up for me to cry in a game. Well, okay, there was one game that I was like, oh, man, that hit me. But overall, so to me, I tried to talk about the specifics, if it's delivered well, and then let people decide if that story... is good or bad for them. So, you've never steered me wrong in a game. Oh, please, just wait.
It will happen.
It will happen. I had by the way, I want to thank this person. I'm not going to say I'll say their last part of their username is Fisher. They sent me an amazing 5-paragraph email today about ways to improve my videos. Never said a thing negative. It was like, this would improve it for me. And he wrote an incredibly, like, a super conscientious email. And so I sent him back one, a very long one, describing, like, what changes I've tried, what I'm thinking of doing, blah, blah, blah. But that kind of user interaction is awesome. We get it here. Johnny's got it. I mean, like, you get it on your Twitch streams, right? When somebody's like, hey, man, maybe you should change this. Because I've even noticed with your Twitch streams, you've changed stuff as time's gone on. You've gone like, oh, this is catchier than this other thing. So it's very good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you guys want to do, what do we got for news?
Yeah, so we had a few things to talk about. Let's see here.
You want me to do COD? We'll show them the video of COD while we talk
Let's
about
do COD first.
Sure.
A lot of people are excited for it. Mm-hmm.
You mean like the feeling of, oh, there's another one again?
Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Sorry about that, guys. You should be able to hear us all now. Can I, we'll wait for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. That was on me. When I switched over to the new, what do you call it? I never
Yeah, different
this.
scene.
Yeah, let's see what they say. Eric is muted.
Mute. Only ACG is muted.
Let's see what they say.
Karak.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Muted. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay.
Fix now. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Audio for the game, will be turned off, obviously, while we're talking. So anyway, this has become Madden for me. Do you guys feel the same when it comes to Call of Duty?
Yes. And does it matter? Because it's like, the way I think about it is, if Dark Souls 4 comes out,
right?
Do you want anything different? Or are you happy with the status quo? And I think most people that enjoy those games, sure, they want some innovation, but largely they want the same thing, I think. So I think that's what's happening with COD.
It just feels like every time we see a COD, I forget what COD I played last time.
Yeah.
They all blend together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know, guys. I'd like to know what you guys do. COD is more of a service game at this point. But is it? Because they make you pay for the full service each time. Is that a service game? I don't know if that's a service game. I mean, they're making you... We'll talk about it, Outriders in a second. That's a true service game. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
that's a good point.
I don't think the fan base wants World War II. I think now you're right. Prior to World War II, they did, and I told everybody they were wrong, which I shouldn't have said everybody, but everybody was, unless you agreed with me. But no, man, we got World War II, we got boots on the ground, and it absolutely sucked.
we get World War II so often. It's really...
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, I'm not dissing, it's not going to stop me from playing the game. It could turn out amazing. It's just that it doesn't grab me because it's always like, look at these actors we put in. By the way, back in the day, remember when it used to be Nolan North is in everything? Then it was Troy Baker. Now it's Laura Bailey. She's in everything. And so she's in this as well. I noticed that with the facial mocap and all that stuff. But it just feels like it's always like, here's our over-the-top, bombastic, special 1, 2, 3.
I mean, the trailer was that again as well.
Ninja characters, and then... I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me...
More planes, explosions, down, under, everywhere.
Just planes everywhere and some explosions and then you're done. What were you going to say, Johnny?
I think for me, the reason why I like Souls games, and I would jump into, let's say, Dark Souls 4 versus not being interested in a new Call of Duty, is because Dark Souls does a lot different in this... not setting in general, but, like bosses and locations and stuff from game to game. Whereas Call of Duty kind of seems like very samey. There's only so much you can do if you're having like a fairly realistic, war-based story. There's only so much you can go off that that kind of realistic framework. So,
and I
think it's difficult.
I sort of got the shit kicked out of me because I was like, I don't think World War II and going back to the history works as well. I liked Infinite Warfare. Replayed it again. Really enjoyed it. It's a single player I'm talking about. And the idea of moving forward helps because you can move forward and you can look at what would happen in this world if things changed. Homefront Revolution did that. Despite it not being the greatest game, I still enjoy it because it tells a story about what could. It's just like, how many times are you going to pretend there was some secret high-tech organization that no one knew about in World War II? I can only watch Nazis and the UFOs on Discovery Channel so many times before I'm like, dude, now we're just they probably one time thought UFOs might have been real. That was it. And people blown it up out of proportion to where it's like now Nazis are still alive flying around in South America. And you're just like, dude.
And on the Dark Side of the Moon. Which, by the way, those are pretty sweet movies. Special effects-wise, those are crazy. But with World War II, I'm just done with it. I mean, what can you do? You can go to prehistoric times. You go to Civil War, where you have one gunshot, and then, you die from a disease.
Yeah,
what do you do?
Or you could try to you could try to create a story around a character. So maybe your protagonist actually has some kind of arc or story that's a bit more dramatic or more personality.
Right.
But that also kind of goes against the grain for what they're doing, which is, the focus is the war at hand, right? And everything going on around you, and your character is a blank slate in which you insert yourself.
Did you guys ever play Star Trek Elite Force? Or Star Trek Elite? It was a shooter. I would love to see those guys just say Call of Duty Star Trek. And just
totally
do something,
different setting.
Take an IP though. I'm okay with taking an IP, but be like, let's just do this, man, and go crazy, because a lot of times you see, Picard fixing his jacket. Everything's too clean.
Call of Duty Stargate.
Yeah, it's Call of Duty Stargate. When they get dirty, they've got a little scratch, like in the old original Star Trek, when Kirk would fight somebody, get a little scratch, a little tear in his shirt. You could immediately tell because it was the same shirt because they didn't have the money to buy another one. That kind of stuff. It's like, let's see that, man. Let's go super dirty and grimy on some other IP. And Stargate, I still think that Stargate game that they were working on was so exciting. You were going to go to different planets. You were going to pick up different things.
The MMO or another one?
No, completely separate one. The MMO, is that one even still going?
No,
As in an idea to
I was in the alpha back then.
Ooh.
But yeah, no, that's dead.
Stargate is Call of Duty Stargate would get me genuinely to go, what the fuck? Or Call of Duty Battlestar Galactica. You know, I would kill. I would legit be like, if somebody said Battlestar Galactica Call of Duty, I would go to the event. Like, that's how much it would surprise me, because there is no surprise with Call of Duty. There isn't. And it doesn't mean it's bad, because I've enjoyed them. Not all of them, but I have enjoyed them. So,
yeah.
I don't think there's much more to say about that.
You really know what you're getting with Call of Duty.
You absolutely do. There is no surprise.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what war they're talking about. You're like, dude, we've been there. Like, we've been there. We're done. We're gonna look at Black. What is that? Black Monkey, Black Wingu, Black. What is that? A Monkey Man? What's that one called?
You had it right once in that chat. Damn it! But I forgot again as well.
Black Myth.
Wukong.
Thank you. There we go.
Black Myth Wukong. So, this game, people were trying to tell me it wasn't real. The gameplay wasn't real. Talked to some people behind the scenes. For sure was real. They released another like 12-minute trailer today.
12
of that.
Yeah,
12-minute. Dude.
Yep.
Man, it looks like Horizon Zero Dawn with a monkey man as the main guy. Like, it's got that same kind of...
Yeah. The snow looked incredible.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. I'll make this screen a little bit.
Dude, in fact, the snow was for some stupid reason, it was the most unique thing that I saw, because I've never played this kind of game with, like, heavy snow like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the character moved in it, still agile, but you could tell, a bit encumbered by it, and the movement of the snow, that was kind of one of the big graphical things I loved about it.
Yeah, somebody said, this game looks great, but I'm being cautious. Of course, always be cautious. Always be cautious. You can be excited and be cautious. I'm definitely cautious of everything. However, I will say that we are seeing footage of gameplay and combat, which isn't the same as Aiden and, what was that, Watch Dogs 1 and the E3 demo where he walked very slowly and had a little gunfight at the end. This is like a character walking around having gunfights, cutscenes. Obviously, more
and like
to
already showing off 12 bosses or however many they showed off.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And
for
some
this game.
pretty cool designs for bosses.
Yeah. In fact, this is what Biomutant was missing, I think. Well, there's a lot of things Biomutant was missing, but something about this the interaction with the characters and the enemies looks much better than, Biomutant, which if Biomutants had been good, I would have been far more interested in that game. And this game, the way they interact, the battles, the fights, it does look like a Sekiro in a way, with a monkey as the main guy. What is he? Like, the world is all animals mixed, right? I looked at the art this morning. That's what it appears to me, is that it is like Biomutant, where I don't think there's any humans in this game.
And zombies and monsters. It's all,
it's
anything goes.
Yeah.
Legit
and mythical creatures and that bird thing with the face.
Yeah, the bird thing that looks like a really bad hangover dream.
Oh my god.
What did you guys think of this in chat? Did you guys like the idea of it? Did you not like it? For me, it's definitely up my alley. It absolutely looks like what I want. I can't wait to play it. I do think, though, that next gen only, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
We won't see that I don't think we'll see that on PS4 or Xbox. I could be wrong. Maybe we will. To people doubting the gameplay, remember Bright Memory Infinite was made by one person. True. But that game as a shooter even that game doesn't feel as, not awe-inspiring or interesting. But, like,
I'll tell you what as well, man. The idea of a game where the focus is the staff as your weapon is very interesting. Because you need to be quite ingenious with it, right? Like the moveset has to be ingenious. Because by nature, it just doesn't do as much damage as, if you had like a naked blade, right? So I think there's going to be some interesting move sets with that. You've seen the trailer, one interesting move where he climbs, he can extend his staff because magic.
Yeah.
right? So he's standing very tall on the staff, like standing on it, and then does like a front flip and hits with it. And I thought that was a very cool idea.
Yeah. Livestream says, I have no idea why Black Myth is getting so much hype, because it released a video today. Last time I heard about it was a year ago. Today. So now you can reset your timer. People are talking about it right now because today.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what happens. That's how time works, buddy.
Well, also 12 minutes of like
solid gameplay.
Not some cinematic trailer bullshits, but like actual.
Yeah.
It's also weird because I've got it playing and it hasn't reset, which I'm so accustomed to watching to verify when it loops.
Right.
And it's the 12-minute, and it's just like, damn, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of gameplay.
I don't know. You know, when you see Horizon Zero Dawn, you see a game like this. I feel that Horizon, especially exploration-wise, it looks a little bit like that. This is obviously more. I haven't seen him use ranged, right? I think it's all.
No, it was all like close quarter.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a different thing. But from what I've seen of that game, that one looks. I want to make sure it's clear because I think some people might think it's just graphically impressive. It is, but I've seen issues. I talked about them in a trailer video I did. There's definitely issues with it graphically too. It's just that it looks interesting and new. It looks like something. It looks like a character I haven't seen before and a mythology that might interest me. So that's how you sort of find these new things out. And
any guesses for when it may come out? We thinking like what?
2022.
Q1 2022.
2020. That was good. Yeah.
I mean, they're showing a lot.
They are.
So it makes me think 2022. Oh my God, they're talking to the bird in the trailer right now. Wow, this thing is nightmare fuel. Nightmare fuel. But I will go with 2022 simply because they have the voice acting in. They've got the different stuff that they're showing. 2023 would also be okay, but I'm gonna go 2077.
Game Science said they plan to release in 2023.
Oh, good. Okay, well then, if they're this far along, 2023, then what I would see is the way this game would fail is if the story and cutscene are really bad. You know, that typical, almost like the free MMO style. And I haven't seen that. That would be a way that we could definitely.
This looked already very polished for like an early demo.
It does. It looks awesome. Danowin says those enemy attacks look pretty awesome. They do.
The collision of attacks felt better than Mortal Shell and other games, which I already liked.
Yeah, right.
But I had issues in those.
Dude, and all the bosses they were showing and the environmentals, like, right now they're showing him fighting a lung, the Asian version of a dragon, the snake-style dragon.
Yep.
On the ice, and it's just like
Noodle Dragon.
Noodle Dragon. The bird grossed my wife out of the room. Jace Scaps. Yeah, true. So we'll just have to see. This has been shown for a while, so it's very cool to see something this far along. It's been a long time. Hopefully, we do get it in 2023. I think a lot of games are moving to 2023, and that most are. Not most, but a lot are safe bets.
2023, PlayStation 5, Series X and S, and PC. Yeah.
PlayStation 5, right? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we won't be seeing a last gen version of this. I don't think. I think a lot of those games
will be sold as a one-time purchase with possible DLC.
Oh wow, so they're going out there and just fully saying it's a game. Don't worry about any other stuff. D. Floyd says, looking forward to Lost Judgment. Yeah, I can't wait. Lost Judgment's going to be the last in the Judgment games, too, which is sad. Because if Lost Judgment is the last in the Judgment games, and Yakuza has stated they're going full-time with the turn-based combat, then there isn't going to be a Yakuza, the real-time, which is, I sort of admit, I like a little bit better. And
although I mean they are free to start up another sub-series or
it's just that I'm adding the 3 years for development on them.
Right.
And new IP, which you don't know is. I'm not saying it won't be as good. They're pretty good. They're pretty good at understanding what to do. It's just that I liked also the interlaced. I like that Judgment interlaced with Yakuza a little bit, and you had some side characters that were the same. So really made it come to. Let's see. Oh, okay. I hope the game turns out to be good. It's an important milestone for some Chinese game development moving towards AA and AAA. I think they'll have a Yakuza action version after that. I mean, they stated they were going directly to turn-based. They were sticking with that. So If they do switch, I'm going to be really happy. Very, very happy. But we'll have to see. So far, haven't really seen anything about Monkey Man that looks bad. In fact, it's looked highly impressive, especially for a brand new IP. So we'll have to see. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think Wukong might be Epic exclusive on PC. Gotcha. Well, it's better than Windows exclusive right now. Right? Oh, hey, let's talk about technology. So you got a Windows update real quick, and then we'll move on. But you got a Windows update, and it destroys Alt-Tab.
It did, yeah. Like full screen games. It caused full screen games, for example, to crash when you Alt-Tab.
Really?
That was the Windows update.
Bling Crosby, good play on names. Thanks for the super chat, my hero. I like Judgment better due to the story. Looking forward to Lost in Random. Lost in Random. I don't remember that one.
That's the EA one with the dice.
Oh, gotcha. That's the one you were pretty high on, right?
Yep.
I think overall you were pretty excited for that. Yeah, we'll just have to see, man. So moving on from Monkey, did I already move that trailer on? I did. Moving on from Monkey Man, is there anything you guys want to add to Monkey Man before we move?
Nope.
I think 2023 will be a perfect time because I also wonder where video cards and everything will be. You know,
Yes.
who can get what. But we were talking about tech and like destroying us, and I told this story on Twitter, so I'll tell it now. So, you know, I get into one thing with tech that I don't track is phones, and Google Pixel's what I got, and it has this squeeze feature. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but you squeeze it and it opens up the Google Voice Assistant, so you don't have to push a button. You can like apply pressure.
Okay.
Here's the problem. That thing listens to everything. So during a particular time, there's two people in the room, it's quiet, things are happening, and a third person enters the room and starts answering questions that one of them, me, starts asking somebody. And they were sexual in nature. And let me tell you, that was the weirdest goddamn thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Because I squeezed it to pull it out of my pocket, and I activated it, and it was, you know, as an example, this is not what's said, but you'd be like, yeah, talk dirty to me. You know, I was just like, wait, what is happening? In the middle of this third voice entered the room. And I was telling one of my friends, technology, man, like that to me, that moment I did that was like, oh shit, technology's here. It's here. It's in your room while you're having sexy time. It's in your OnlyFans until next month.
And for now, you can shut it down, right?
Oh yeah, you shut it down. I shut that off right away because I grabbed my phone and I like set it off because of my.
But I'm saying, for now.
Oh, for now.
When that shit is plugged into your brain and always on.
Oh god.
And we're some sort of weird hive mind.
And everyone's schizophrenic because they have additional voices in their head.
Oh god.
Speaking of voices, did you guys see? I think this is amazing. So if you guys know Val Kilmer, he played Batman, he played in Top Gun, he played Iceman, he's played Tombstone. Val Kilmer lost his voice because he had throat cancer. And so when you have throat cancer, they go into your voice box and they have to remove stuff and they rough it up. And it's very difficult for people to hear him. So he used, I think it might be Sonicross. There's a couple different companies that do AI voice and you can train it on your voice. So what he did was they got the movies and they trained it and it sounds like him. And it dawned on me yesterday. I was like, just think about this. In the future, people with no voice, right? They will be able to talk. It will sense what they're trying to say, just like a stoma, I think is what it's called. And they put the hole in and they have the, you know, listen to a man with no voice. They have the smoker's voice box thing. It will be their old voice as long as they have recordings of what they sounded like. And that's what they did with Val.
No shit.
Val's new movie, it's his son repeating some of the content. And then they went back and got old clips from other movies and actually merged them to do his voice in the new movie. That is crazy, man. That is fucking insane. So to me, I personally think that's like one of the great things about tech. But again, yeah, you've got Alexa listening in, you know, you've got all these different people. So you never quite know exactly how it's going to go. I personally believe that they're watching everything anyway. Ancient Gamer, thanks for being a new member. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like switching off the track my searches on Google. If you switch it off, you're only not getting it displayed again. They're still tracking that shit.
Still tracking.
In fact, all it does is forget to remind you that it's tracking you. Yeah. It would be best to pretty much just leave it on. Let's see. Because you previously looked at this product we thought you might like. Yeah. Dude, I get that a lot of times, man. A lot of times. Or I'll get it on websites where I'm like...
Especially if I have one of those sessions again where I look at weird shit on Audible. Like the weirdest romance novels or whatever on there.
Yeah, like
and
Werewolf, the Werewolf Impregnated
for
Me
example,
novel on
and
Amazon.
the gay unicorn in the woods or whatever.
Yep.
And then for weeks, it tracks you on Amazon. Like everywhere.
Yeah, I've definitely had that for sure. Moving on from there, what do we got for questions in Discord? Anything?
Yeah. This question here from Silent Protagonist. Hey, a man of the tip. I mean, that phrasing is...
it's suspect.
Well, yeah, it's suspect. Been listening for over 6 years and want to say thanks for all the laughs. Cheers, man. My question is, if you were a famous actor, what genre of movie would you have been known for starring in? And no, Karak, porn does not count. Have a good one, fellas, and be well.
This fucker runs OnlyFans. It's like porn doesn't count. No more.
Yeah.
Okay,
very
let's
topical.
See. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of acting in porn, trust me. So, what? Well, action, obviously. Like action. What's the what would the other answer be?
Like some martial arts stuff?
Fucking mystery? Yeah, well, it wouldn't even matter, man. It wouldn't even stuff with one-liners. There'd be one-liners that didn't even make sense. It wouldn't matter. You just have a
1.5 hours of one-liners.
1.5 hours. I'd be like, surf's up, pal. And then you hit him with a surfboard and leap off. Just keep repeating one-liners. That's it. Don't even give you a reason. But I mean, what are the other answers? You could, I mean, if you just remove porn.
Trash movies, obviously, like Sharknado and stuff.
Oh, Sharknado.
Yeah, I guess for me would just be the worst, sleaziest Brazilian soap opera.
Wow. Oh,
nice.
Okay, now I know where you're going. I was like... Ling Crosby, super chat. Reviews have been ultra helpful over the years. Thanks. You're welcome. I always like to hear it when somebody gets like a little bit of worth out of something I do. Most people don't.
For sure.
My own family doesn't. So it's always nice when some random YouTuber or YouTube person is like, you saved me $5.
Gives you that validation.
Yeah, I see validation my family never gave me. I'm just kidding. My family's awesome. Most of them. I mean, that's a weird question. Yeah. Is there anything else? You would... a Brazilian soap opera would be pretty cool because you could die thousands of times, have sex with everybody, and show up the next day.
Come back every time.
You know, they never cover one thing in soap operas that I know of because I don't watch them, but I never hear about this. STDs. All these dudes have got to be fighting a serious fever at some point because they're just banging everybody. Everybody's banging everybody. At some point, you'd think somebody come down with like a riddling brittle bone / herpes, but apparently they never do.
Nah.
I haven't watched Man, I used to watch soap operas when I was young, and my mom, she didn't work during the summers because she did school. She was in the education program, and so you'd have summers, you know, where like she'd be watching Days of Our Lives,
right?
You know, and they've been on forever. Like that's another thing. How long some of those have been on? And I think that Victor guy's been on for like 75 years. He looks 40 because people have like, you know, ironed his face on, but still, some of those people do start to look almost like you're seeing like next year's mannequin showcase when they show up. Have you ever noticed that? They'll show up and they'll be like, oh, I'm going, and you're all, dude, seriously, let your face move. It's time. It's time. You can
real life photoshopped.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, that is true, right? You can do that now. I mean, they smooth skin a lot of different characters in movies now. That'll be real time very soon. I think it's real time already. Don't they have like some filters on Instagram that do it real time? Like and can totally change your face like into something else?
There's some pretty crazy ones.
Oh yeah, there are like adding smiles and freshening up your skin. And
even this Discord one has like glasses and stuff. You know, I mean, obviously, people would still know it was me if I put on digital glasses, but you get my drift.
No, completely different person.
No, dude, you would be like
how it works.
You would be like Robin in Batman and Robin, like unrecognizable because you're wearing the fucking the tiny
Michael
eye
Keaton
cover
showing up, and he's like, he talks one way and then takes off the mask, and people are like, "It's you?" It's like, of course. Well, Clark Kent with his glasses.
Yeah, Clark Kent.
Oh,
everybody knows immediately.
They'll use real-time DLSS tech. That's absolutely for sure. Let your face move. That is true. That's just what I feel. Let your face move. Karak can't be deep faked. I am a deep fake. I'm an 18-year-old girl. It's just the honest truth, man. Use a little voice modulator.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh my god! If the filter broke and I'm like, "Hi, hey everybody,"
Because normally it's the opposite.
What do they do? Don't they do like a fucking heart with their hands? Or I'd be like, "Hi everybody,"
Yeah.
or do the flash the peace
Can
sign.
you
or something.
wait? Can you say for the camera "uwu" once for the
Ooh,
record?
Ooh, woo? No, because I said it, but now I'm screwed. That'll be people be using that as like their wake up. We're gonna play a voice message. This is from Fry Banshee. He has a question for our group as well as chat, so feel free to jump in. Again, this is Fry Banshee.
Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I wanna ask you guys about the difficulty in video games, specifically Dark Souls. You know, there's recently been a few discussions about it, and I remember Psychonauts 2 just stated that there's an invincible mode as an easy mode in the game for people who just want to experience the world in the game, right? So I was wondering, how does that, like, imagine an invincibility mode in Dark Souls. You know, I think that would be perfect. People that want to just soak in the world like Bloodborne, you know, that atmosphere, the story, the mystery. It'd be perfect for them. Because I think there's more to Souls-like games than just the feeling of triumph after defeating someone. That's a big part of it, but I think making it going the accessibility route that way doesn't harm the game design. I think everyone can win there. So, you know, what are your thoughts on it?
There we go. So, asking about difficulty in games, right?
Yeah.
I think that was Fry's, because I can't hear that one live as I play it for you guys. But asking about Dark Souls invincibility modes and stuff like that. So that's popped up before. People can answer this in chat, but like, as long as the developer doesn't throw it in as just a random thing that would not then give the person playing some kind of reward for playing, I'm fine with it. And what I mean by that is, if they're going to put an invincibility mode in there, I would like for them to also put something in there to reward that player. You know, I don't know what that would be, but I wouldn't just want a person just walking around, I guess. And if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, for me, every time I've had a cheat like that, you know, when I was a kid and playing GTA, I tried those cheats, right? Invincibility, all guns, all weapons, you know, infinite money.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sucked the fun from the game straight away. Like within minutes, I was like done with the game because of that. So I don't think that's the solution, actually. That kind of cheat.
But if you are not picking it, the inclusion of it doesn't affect you.
It doesn't. No.
You think?
I'm just skeptical that it will add value. Let's say.
Yeah, I would love to see it add something. I don't know what it would be. I've talked to some, because some of my friends, military, like lost a hand or something like that, in Afghanistan in particular, and they're playing games in different ways. The adaptive controller that Microsoft does is awesome, that kind of stuff. But most of them actually want something in reward, which is what I was saying. It's like not just adding. If it's going to switch to, if they're going to have that, they want to make sure that the developer like put something in to reward them for continuing through. Because one of the things, speaking of this is good. Mike told me, he's like, listen, I lost the ability to use my right hand. That does not mean I don't want to be rewarded in a game. My entire personality is not different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So they still have, like,
you don't want to just bypass all the game systems and challenges.
Right. Whether that be cosmetics or a different scale for cosmetics. You know, how do you change cosmetics so that it's a length of time that you play or something? You know, I don't know. What about you, Reg?
It depends on the game for me. Like if it's a story-heavy game where I really just want to experience the story, then easy mode all the way. Like I'll enable easy mode, throw in a cheat engine to make me invincible, all that stuff. I don't care. I want the story. That is my reward for playing the game, getting to experience the story. I did that with most of the Trail series, for example. Like I was in it for the story. I got through all the combat basically on auto mode because I didn't care for the gameplay of it.
Yeah, so technically you already had the reward in there, which was you like the story.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I agree with like Dark Souls and stuff with Johnny, because I don't think that it carries itself that well with a story. Like
On
it has
its own.
world building,
Yeah.
certainly, but no proper like big story to experience.
And the way you experience the story is meaningful because of your gameplay. I think that the two are intrinsically linked, and that the fact that you find some description on an item with some vague lore, the fact that that means half a shit to you is because it was hard to get there. Like everything has some extra meaning because of your journey in the game. And if you make that journey trivial from a gameplay standpoint, I think that then the whole experience kind of crumbles along with it. But that's my view on it.
Yeah, I think for games like that, an invincible mode would, I think, kill the game. Like even if someone chose that option, I think it wouldn't be nearly as fun as it would be to someone playing it a different way. But maybe a less harder mode, like one that supports you, that gives you maybe more hints about how the enemy is going to attack you, but still has some level of difficulty.
Yeah,
sorry, I apologize, but just the last thing there is, in an ideal world, if the company could also devote resources to create like an accessibility mode where you can still get some of that and have like an easy mode, I think that would be great. I have nothing against that. It's just that in the real world, you have limited resources, and the resources you spend doing that, you could, maybe you need to shore up the vision and the core gameplay for the main mode. So I think that's the main issue.
It's interesting because I disagree completely, especially when it comes to Dark Souls. Finding a tome in Dark Souls means shit to me because it was difficult to get to. There is no connection in that game, at least, for me saying, oh my god, I found a tome that has the letter A on it, and I had to kill 15 skeletons to get there. The game is amazing. So I get where you were coming from, and by the way, I'm being pedantic because that wasn't your only. I know you just had a short time. I that's more being. I'm reducing it on purpose. I think though, my opinion is different than yours, which indicates that there's probably a lot of other people that are like, why not just add an easy mode? And like you said, if resources are available, the problem is just adding an easy mode isn't just easy. Like you said, you need resources, you need time and testing, because what you don't want is, and there's a term for it when it comes to racial biases, and it's slipping my mind, but where you just add it, but there's no thought to it. And I can't remember what it is. Somebody, I'm sure in chat room, but there's that thought of just like, blah, throw it in.
An afterthought.
An afterthought. And it actually is almost like, you're just like, seriously?
Yeah.
So I agree. That's why I was saying, I think some changes, if it is an invincibility mode, some changes to how it's working would be cool. For example, I wouldn't mind walking the Dark Souls world, walking it. Without any enemies, or with enemies, but I could kill, just to look, right? So, some people have said exploratory modes, that kind of stuff. The thing is as long as it, it fits and gets some time, I'm all for it. If it doesn't get some time, I'm still for it if they want to do it. But I would rather, if we're going to do it well. And that to me would matter more. Case in point, you see a lot of people say there's a colorblind mode in this game, and you look at it and it's like black and white or something. And you're like, dude, that's what? That's not, there's like 50 versions of colorblindness. I think Destiny did a good job with colorblindness, if I remember. I think Destiny's got like 8 or 9 choices of so that shows some thought, right? It shows some actual thought of how you would handle various different people. I think Last of Us did a sound version, because didn't a guy beat that who's blind?
Last of Us has 2 had a lot of accessibility
Yeah,
options.
so that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And Jedi Fallen Order, remember that? That was an example of a stamina-based combat game where you could tune the reaction time necessary, which some people don't have good reaction times. They can play the game just fine, but they happen to not have good reaction times. And I think it's great to be able to like customize that kind of thing.
You know what's even better though? Dude. People think it's just reaction time. It can be your fucking TV. I have a TV with 85 milliseconds of lag. You add that through a receiver with 20 plus the game, suddenly the timing for Sekiro it's completely different than somebody else's.
Yes, dude, it's funny you mentioned that because my experience playing Sekiro on the TV, and then when it came out on PC, I played it on PC, I was like, this is why I was struggling. Because that's the difference between nailing a parry or missing it.
Or at least having a completely different thought
Having
process.
a shot. Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny because I'll be talking, and this is something, I don't know why reviewers don't cover this, but one of the reasons why I do cover input lag, because you will get this where, for example, you'll be playing a game, and in some games, if you see their elbow move in, that means they're getting ready to strike, so you can look at the elbow. But if you don't have anything like a normal person's reaction speed on your TV, your display, your receiver, people run these through HDMI splitters, then you have to, let's say, look for the moment where he's not attacking but hasn't begun to attack, and you assume it's going to be this attack, which then completely changes the way you're going to engage with the fight. And that's why some people just aren't as good. By the way, the preview window for OBS can add up to 50 to 100 milliseconds. If you ever try to play a game through the OBS preview.
I did.
Preview.
I did.
And I play a lot of games through OBS preview, by the way.
Yeah.
And I have to play them through OBS preview to make sure everything's working, and then usually I'll go the pass-through route and move it on to another, make sure it's because it is insane how much lag OBS. And so you'll have a lot of reviewers, and I've done it myself where I've been playing a game, but the only way to do it if you have a certain number of monitors or the real estate is to play through the preview. And maybe you've got the preview settings so it shows your chat in preview, you got everything set up. You're adding a shit ton of delay to whatever it is you're streaming. I've seen streamers have a lot of difficulty with some games, and people be like, you're just not good. And it's like, nah, most likely that person's playing through the OBS, the OBS preview.
And even on the same TV, different HDMI ports have different latency. Dude, isn't that crazy? I didn't know that, dude.
It's bullshit.
I played for some time in the wrong port, like on the side port.
Yep.
It had way worse lag.
Yep. Some will only do 60. Some won't even go to 120. Some will go to 120 but can't have HDR on because of all the bandwidth issues. Yeah. So, and this is something for everybody at home. I do cover tech. One thing to remember is frame rate doesn't mean anything if your milliseconds is off. All these things. It doesn't even matter if you have, like, let's say, poor frame timing. Well, 120 would alleviate a lot of frame timing, but not all of it. But be aware that you might have an issue. I've had people who are like, this game doesn't feel like snappy. And I'm all, really? It's very snappy. And then you ask them what they're doing. They're like, well, I'm running it to a splitter. Then I run it to my receiver. Then I run it into the TV. And I'm like, Jesus, you might as well just get it sent to you via like postage at that point.
Yeah.
Let's see. Had the same problem trying Surge 2 on Xbox Cloud Gaming. Oh, Kangalangalang. What's up, buddy? Yeah, dude. It's crazy trying to play on cloud if you get a bad connection. I've been lucky with the new setup, and I'm fine now. But there were times where I was playing, and I was just like, I can't play this. I can't play it on cloud. It's just not working. Like, there's way too much back and forth time for this, which there really shouldn't be. If it was working perfect, it would be your turnaround time, and that's it. Or, because you're still drawing at home if it's your graphics card and all that kind of stuff, but it's never that good. Or they have a 140 hertz monitor and in their settings is at 60. Or what? I don't even know what that response was to. What would that do? If you're at 140, he means not using the power that you have available to you. Yeah.
I think the hardware is there, but you're still limiting the game to 60.
I get you. I definitely have that. I've got 2 displays that are still 60 FPS, 60 hertz, still stuck. Amount of people who forget to change the refresh rate on the PC is surprisingly a lot. Yes, it is. Dude, this is what bothers me, man. You'll have people talking about games, and they're supposedly champions of games. and then they're dicks about stuff. And it's like somebody would be all, oh, I didn't know you changed. Oh, man, I can't just buy a PC. It's like, yeah, a person who was confused came to a tech area to ask a question, and your ass told them to buy the most complex. By the way, Windows Update broke Alt-Tab.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. We're going to have a long time where video cards and stuff are going to be...
Yeah, it doesn't matter how easy it is now to get into PC. You still have to be willing to troubleshoot all kinds of random stuff that can come up. And
well, not just
research.
willing, also be able to.
Right.
And be able to.
Chat, what are you guys playing display-wise? What are you guys on? What's your monitors or your TV types? I'm using an LG. I don't even remember which this one is. What do you guys use? Reg has got the OLED LG? Or...
Well, for the podcast and for work, I have the ultra wide.
Right.
The Samsung. But for regular use and gaming, I have an Asus, I think. Fairly old monitor, but 1440p resolution and 144 hertz.
There you go.
So
good. Right in the good middle ground, right?
27-inch size. So really no reason to upgrade.
Small.
Well, I mean, you're using basically a TV.
Yeah. And well, this is a monitor. It's 42, but 27 is the way to go if you're playing like a shooter, because you don't have to do this. And I have got sick because this is a big screen and be playing and going looking for one. And pretty soon I'm like
looking at the HUD.
I don't feel good. Yeah. Johnny, what are you using?
For me, I have don't know how many inches. Don't quote this out of context. It's big enough, okay? It does the job just fine. 1440p, 144 hertz. It's an Acer model. It's pretty good. I mean, for me, like 1440p is where it's at.
Yeah.
I don't feel like 4K. I don't know.
At that monitor size, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would need something, bigger and have it further away, I think, to take advantage of it.
Somebody told me to just back away. Here's how far I can back until I hit my bed.
But what about the huge room behind you?
No shit. That's the green screen, which is against the bed. Yeah, it's, the thing is, people just don't understand TV tech, which completely makes sense. TV tech is all over the place. PC tech is all over the place. And people, I think a lot of times will see, let's say they'll see Linus Tech Tips, which is good, but it's also talking to the upper class purchaser for the most part.
Yeah.
And what happens is people will buy that and not know that they need a CPU. How many times have you talked to somebody who's like, I got a brand new 2080, and you're like, oh, what CPU? And they're like, well, it's an i3, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, no. You're going to have issue because there isn't that balance in all those parts. And I get it. I get why people jump to consoles. I absolutely get it. I have, I know that there's like a master class kind of thing with PCs, but to me, I play console games, I play PC games, and it's, for me, man, it just doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but it's like what you can do, what you have the money and the ability and the know-how to do. Also, people be like, you should build your computer, and it's like, I think in the old days, maybe, but now, people can't even get Windows to run when they did build it. And so there's a lot of confusion out there, and I think a lot of people, I don't know why, they just, maybe it's to feel better than everybody else, but there's a lot of highfalutin kind of discussion that goes around. It's like, dude, seriously, let them play. People are playing on the Switch and they're happy. I'm going to diss on it if it's Doom. That game sucked day one. But
Ark.
What was that, like 6 FPS?
6 FPS and also as many pixels.
Jeremiah M says, people don't even know they can buy an SSD and install it themselves. It's easy, but you have to know what connects to what. Yeah, or you watch that video I saw yesterday called Listen to What RAM Sounds Like When It Breaks. And it was haunting. He pushed it in and it folds over. And you hear it go like inside. Now, by the way, it's not only that the RAM broke, it's that it broke inside the fucking RAM slot. So now you've got all kinds of issues. Even pulling it out, there's, not 100% sure I would want to put another RAM stick in there without like going in and trying to clean it and all. It's a disaster. So yeah, it's not as easy as people just absolutely think. Play with what you can afford and what works for you. Console wars and PC stuff is garbage talk. ACG, have you played Narika Blade Point? No, I wish I had. I was getting ready to, and too many reviews. Got a review today, a review tomorrow, reviews to do. They all post next week. So I've just been super busy doing that. Consoles can easily, with a full-fledged OS, consoles can easily have a full-fledged OS. Have a good one, AR. Did you guys see that, like, there was a couple games that have put the keyboard working on console, too. So the more they do that, the better. Yeah.
Yeah.
John says it's weird. I have absolutely no idea what you guys are talking about, which is why I'm a console gamer. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What else do we got for discussion points?
So I wanted to bring up Tales of Arise. So this had a free demo.
Okay, I'm going to grab a pop, but I do want to hear this because I think this didn't work out as planned, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I'll do a quick introduction for people who don't know. This is a JRPG that's out. Reg, what systems? PlayStation and PC,
I don't know,
think.
actually. Yeah, PC.
Yeah, I
probably.
think it's on PC as well. But people can correct me in chat if I got it wrong. I think those are the two.
PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Windows. So basically everything anyway.
And I watched a friend play the full demo on PlayStation 5. It played very well, actually. And, at 60, right? So you can target, performance or quality of graphics. And it looks visually very good. I really enjoyed the look of it, the setting. You have what is 6 playable characters. So basically you have a party of a number of people. Okay, I think it's around 6 people, and you can choose who's the leader. Whoever's the leader, you control them. And so the way the battle plays is that you're controlling the leader, and you can set like a strategy for the other guys and do specific attacks as well, similar to like Scarlet Nexus, where you call them in and either do combos or have them do stuff. But the big problem, the big unsurmountable problem, is that they never shut the fuck up. And just to be clear, I'm not being mean here, okay? You enter a fight, and from the moment the fight starts to the end, there is always a voice line beginning or ending, if that makes sense. They're like always like slightly overlapping and saying, there's no dead air. It's like, it's the version that we always talk about, like for Ubisoft games, where they don't want you to have any moment of silence. They need a bear to like jump you.
Yeah.
No downtime, but with the audio here. And it got so ridiculous to a point watching it that one of the characters was actually delivering useful information. She was saying, hey, that enemy, you need to hit it from behind in the bright spot. That was useful information that you needed to know, but you could barely hear it because other 2 characters were talking over her at the same time. Random shit. So that's, to me, is a deal breaker. And you can't customize it or turn it off, so.
Reg?
Yeah. It's as noisy as Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, really?
Basically, every time you press a button, they scream out the name of the attack.
Right.
You mean like Lucky Honorable Horseshoe?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's bad.
So it's a little bit like an ACG review.
And it's not just you, your character, with pressing the buttons, but the other 3 that are fighting with you are also calling out their attacks all the time. So it's a cacophony of noise all the time.
Wow. Was this the way?
Or in other words, it's a very Japanese game.
Was this the way it was with the other games?
I don't know. I don't remember it as aggressively as it is in this one. But I only played Tales of Berseria, I think. That's it.
I heard that one was pretty bad too, in that respect.
Maybe. I don't remember. I remember as a bad example Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because that was really ridiculous.
Egregious.
Yeah.
I did when I walked away. I got a bunch of DMs informing me that I had forgot to put out the notice to YouTube to indicate to all subscribers. Sorry.
Oh, nice.
I made like 3. Did you guys see it pop up 3 times? It was like Karak's going live, not going live. Karak's going live, not going live. And I was like, I think I did it right this time. Yeah, I hadn't. Sorry. We'll get back on track. It'll take a little while. Go ahead.
But apart from that, even if you ignore the noise, I didn't find the combat was any fun.
Really?
And I also didn't enjoy the world. Like, it looks pretty, fairly pretty. It runs well. But the enemies are standing around in little clusters, and when you get too close, you trigger a combat sequence. I know it's very JRPG, but I'm kind of over that style.
Did you guys, while you guys were talking, somebody stated that it was announced that Halo's not going to include the campaign or Forge at launch?
No.
Oh, somebody look at that and verify. I think Michael might just be randomly talking about something. This is why going live is actually nice.
Yeah. Yeah, people can correct us.
Listen to this. WC says, YouTube only notifies me of things I'm not subscribed to. No lie. I am filled to the brim with DMs and emails right now. People saying, dude, I don't get any data whatsoever from you.
Halo Infinite will no longer launch with a co-op campaign and the Forge level editor, Microsoft announced.
Was the co-op campaign separate, or are they saying there's no co-op in the...
No, it's not launching with a co-op. The mode, once expected to launch alongside with the title, will be introduced via free updates in 2022. Microsoft expects to deliver the co-op campaign support 3 months after release, while Forge is slated for 6 months post-launch.
So no co-op campaign. You're just playing by yourself.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of loses me. I think for a lot of people, the co-op campaign is a big reason why they would play.
Whatever 343 is, whatever they've done is all wrong. 343 has just not handled Halo. They just haven't. I don't know what... So, okay, how many times have you seen where people are like, the top dogs are doing something, and that's why this game isn't working well. But but it's just tech issues, and the game is actually pretty solid. It's the exact opposite with what's happened with Halo, is that the bosses are still there, and the same mistakes are continually being made. Like when they decided that we're going to see if Master Chief is a bad guy in the story. Like, nobody wants that. You don't mix Othello with peanut butter, man. Like that, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Nobody wanted that. Nobody said this is a good idea, except for whoever is unfortunately at the top making the biggest decisions. They are completely, consistently failing. Master Chief Collection should not have been released at all. Well, 2 years, maybe. 2 years later. That was a disaster. And now we have this without the co-op campaign. I'm sorry, but that's how it made its nuts. And guess what happened with Master Chief Collection? You couldn't do co-op correctly. That is exactly the issue that they had. There's something going on, man. It's depressing because I got a lot of shit. People were like, oh, Karak doesn't like Halo. Fuck, I like Halo. That's the problem. I like Halo a lot. I like it more than 343 apparently does. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Dude, Bungie had their own issues. I mean, I get it. I get why you would hope it would return to Bungie. But guys, Bungie, there was issues there, and we saw it with Destiny. They had all kinds of issues themselves. And they still, I mean, yes, they've handled it. But let's not pretend that there aren't a huge issues and weren't a huge number of issues with Bungie prior to the sale. This is just Master Chief. Halo just got picked up by the wrong people, man. Gears of War, they need to hire... Rod Ferguson left, unfortunately. But I almost feel like if they had taken the Gears team and said, you need to get whatever it is going so that they can deliver a workable game. It's delayed, didn't look good, and now we're here looking at this. Carter Drew says, I love your work. Thank you for the super chat. Also, thank you for the super chat, guys, because now, of course, we don't get the subs through Twitch, so super chats help. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know what you guys think, but co-op missing was one of the major issues with Halo Master Chief Collection, other than it also just not crashing a lot.
Not working.
Not working.
At all.
But that was a big deal. And and Forge. And now you're not going to have those. Like, why? This is their premiere. Imagine if any other, okay, look at Days Gone. It wasn't the greatest, and it was a Sony third-party, and look at the shit they got for Days Gone, technical issues and stuff. Microsoft is treating Halo worse. They just need to, I don't know, man. I don't get it. Who's running the place? That's just really depressing.
It
Delay
just sounds
the game.
like...
Delay the fucking thing, man.
Like, hey, the car you pre-ordered
Has no
coming,
back wheels.
but at the currently
But
on launch
Yeah.
has no carburetor. But we're working on that, right?
The air brake is not unlocked.
We'll patch it in. Mike Soon, thank you very much for the Canadian $5, which, by the way, is worth more than the United States $5. So you absolutely rock.
Oh, is it?
Now, so when I was younger, or it has been, I haven't looked in a while, but when I was younger, you'd get a Canadian penny and you scoff at it. You'd be like,
No, it's currently $3.90 US.
okay, so it's a little less now. But yeah, it was more for a long time. The United States dollar's taken a hit. It's only because I do some investments. It's taken some hits in the past. I don't know, guys. What do you guys think in chat about? Hey, personally, I say delay it. How about this? We'll just vote. I think we can do polls, but I'm not going to worry about it. Delay it or not? What do you guys think? Or hey, can I do a poll live? Let's do one. Here we go.
Oh God.
Delay Halo or hey, fuck you, man. Halo or not? I'm perfect at this. Yes, no. Boom. Boom.
Is it happening?
I think.
Yeah, exactly.
It said.
Yeah.
Did it not happen?
I don't know where it would be.
Okay, here we go. Delay Halo or not? Ask your community. Dude.
Okay.
Boom.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Just like my
Amazing.
Just like my orgasm, slightly delayed.
Oh.
Ooh. All right. Kuno says, what this says to me is Microsoft can't stand the thought of missing holiday sales. And two, the Halo Infinite campaign is much more dynamic. Oh. That's true. Duante, $5, also worth less. Best super chat so far. That's awesome. It's awesome.
Nice.
Speaking of that, somebody said something very nice about some of the videos we created, and I got this in the old YouTube thing where I asked everybody to record stuff, so I'm going to play that for a second. This is from Ains.
What's going on, everyone? Ains here from Seasoned Gaming. Just wanting to give a quick shout out to Mr. ACG himself and the quality work that goes into his channel. I really want to call out the Walking the Walk videos, which are the things that first introduced me to his channel, and I believe deserve even more views than they have. So if you haven't watched those previously, check them out. They are truly amazing, and I love the detail he goes into. Hope everyone's doing well. Have a good weekend. Peace, guys.
Just stop. There we go. He just said some nice stuff about the Walking the Walks. Absolutely appreciate it. He's one of the guys I've met through Iron Lords, Ains. He should have said his YouTube channel in there. Definitely appreciate him talking about stuff. Poll was delayed just like Halo Infinite should be delayed. Ouch. But no, I definitely appreciate the kind words about the Walking the Walks. We'll get those started again soon. I just want to make sure that they're fun, enjoyable. There also hasn't been a lot of those games. Halo or with Horizon delayed, that would have been one I would do. Far Cry. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Far Cry is a little nerve-wracking. Will ACG on Spotify continue? Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, this is all going up audio-wise. Pretty much right after. That's one of the positive things here. Oh, speaking of that, let's discuss a couple things. So, I stated I was going to cover reviews here later on this, but I do want to cover a little bit of Ghost of Tsushima. So that comes out when for you guys?
It already is today.
Okay, so Ghost of Tsushima is out. I saw a couple things that totally surprised me on this. First, people were saying they got through the story in 4 hours. I don't know how that's possible. I recorded the cutscenes. They're like 45 minutes. So,
Right.
John Allen, thank you very much. Oh, yep, somebody else did one. I got to read. Iken says, podcast guy here, first time watching live. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. You rock. I appreciate it. So I'm totally blown. I don't understand like what that even means, but I did want to point out that I was at 9+ hours for Ghost of Tsushima's new location. That was exploring horseback some, but admittedly, I do like to run in that game a little bit more than the horse, though the horse can attack in that game, which can charge people and get horse armor, which is great.
Ooh,
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying I wouldn't worry about that short amount of time, because I was talking to Fighting Cowboy who's playing it, and he's like, what? Like, how is that even possible? But again, we pop, everybody plays things differently, but the story took me longer than 3 to 4 hours. I would say if you turned it on the easiest and skipped the cutscenes, that is true. That is true. But if you play it on medium or hard, and Fighting Cowboy's pretty good. And he's like, dude, I got smoked on some of these guys. So I don't know. I guess it all depends. You go to how long's it played and you see people say something took them 40 minutes. And you're like, I don't know if people just don't record it or what they exactly how they go about playing it. But I really thought that was a good game, a good expansion. I didn't like the story as much, though. Man, they do that trope. Certainly not going to ruin it for anybody, so don't worry about spoilers. But they do a trope where the bad guy basically is like so badass that they let you get away with stuff. I'll just say that much. And I'm like, and then visions. Dude, I had enough visions with fucking Far Cry 5. I'm all visioned out. I don't ever need to have a character with visions again. Anytime a character's having a vision.
Every Far Cry
Every
game
Far
has
Cry.
a vision
Yeah.
scene.
Anybody who has a vision is not under your direct control. And to me, that is a bother. And that's what happens in this game at times, is that thing where you're in the middle of a battle. One time I was talking to a guy and he was telling me something, and I don't have subtitles on because it can ruin the story for somebody who's watching the review. So I turn the subtitles off. He's telling me something important. I'm sure it's important. And then all of a sudden some chick is like, I'm so badass, I've let you go. And you're like, oh my God, shut up. And the fucking purple's flying, all these weird different little colors. So that's one thing I didn't like. I don't know. Did you guys like the original Ghost of Tsushima story? Because I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Is Reg right now is like, I
Forgotten
thought you were gonna
already.
be like forgotten.
No, I like the gameplay certainly more than the story.
Agreed. I like Jin though. I think it was cool. There was some nuance to him, a little bit different about his dad, and that definitely pops up here. I think that's very cool. But
I think because I played it in Japanese, I don't know about you guys if you played it in English or Japanese, but to me, every little thing sounded very dramatic and epic because it's Japanese, right? The way they speak is like, this next thing I'm gonna say is highly important. We must mow the grass, and it sounds epic, right?
no, I don't understand Japanese.
You disagree? No, I don't either. It just sounds good. It sounds.
It sounds
You know?
good in the same. It sounds good because the tonality is different than your tonality and mine.
It is.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
I
It
can
has
see
its
where-
tonality.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I can see why you like it. I am just not a fan of that, but I get why people are sort of. It's just I don't understand it. So, and I don't know why, but I want to read and really understand it. So, or not read, sorry, but listen and really understand. I think that's another thing. I don't like reading the cutscenes a lot. Like, I find myself doing this if I'm watching a TV show where the subtitles are on, and I find that I don't visually remember as much. And so I have a tendency to turn them off because I turn them on sometimes. It just depends. But especially on Netflix, I've noticed where I've been like,
even if you understand the language anyway.
no, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's
soon
in
as
English.
subtitles are there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And why? And, have you ever been playing a game or watched a show where you did miss an English word? That does happen, where you're like, what was that slang? Or what was...
Yeah.
So I think my brain is, like, so nervous about that if the subtitles are on and they're talking in, like, Oregonian from where I'm from, I'm still like, reading it like an idiot and not seeing what I need to see. So yeah, I like those off.
I agree.
I do get what you mean about other languages being cool. One time I was playing Elix, and I believe it was Russian or Ukrainian they had, and I really like that. I think Stalker, that could add something in a Stalker game, because I think Russia and Stalker is so different than we're used to. We always get the same worlds most of the time. So when you do have something like Stalker in Russian, that does feel a little atmospheric, I guess. It goes away pretty quick. What's wrong with you, Reg? Is your house falling down?
I think a hornet came in.
What?
Are you going to get stung?
Oh, God.
Are
Live
you
on
allergic?
camera.
Look at him. He's just like beat it in like a laser.
Apprehensive.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have to kill it? We can continue. Go ahead. If you have to kill it.
I better take care
Okay,
of it at
here's the
least.
thing. Ask it a question in Russian.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Let's see. Watch the subtitle. Oh, he's going to turn it off so he can take care of it.
Right.
Watch the subtitled non-English version of Attack on Titan. Yeah, I'm with Karak. I look down at the screen if there's no subtitles. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't really understand exactly why it always pops up, but it is something where, especially for me, I like to. I just like.
I've noticed it as well, especially if I'm listening to something in English. Turning off the subs sometimes helps me understand more as well, because I'm focusing on the audio more.
And that's
like if I have the crutch of the
subtitle
letters, I find myself like paying
English
less
is your
attention.
second language or third?
Yeah, it's like my third language.
Dude, you're pretty. I mean, you've changed a lot. When you and I first talked, remember I told you, I was like, dude.
Oh, dude, it was rough earlier.
Sometimes, and your
Oh, damn.
inflections are different, and so, like, when you ask a question, or when you ask a question, that means two totally different things. And yours were different. We'd be in that verbal Discord, and I'd be like,
God.
he's pissing me off, man. He's questioning, or, and we there was there, and dude, it's probably because you're doing podcasts and stuff. But, like, other than your accent, your slight accent, I rarely even hear you mess up a word anymore. Like, you've dived in really well. I don't think I would be able to do that.
I even get series correctly now. Remember, that used to be the big thing. I used to get that
every
wrong.
time. Yeah,
every
and
time.
I'd be like, sometimes I'd correct you, and sometimes I'd be like, all right, whatever.
Come on, Johnny.
Johnny, serious. But dude, it does make sense though, because it is the same goddamn thing. It completely there and all that. You'll see me mess it up even in typing in Discord. It's so crazy. You get used to subtitles with many years of practice. I'm just used to them. I didn't, and I've had subtitles on for years, and I still don't get used to them. That's just me. Apparently, listening and reading text at the same time helps you retain more. It could be, but that's different also than visuals. Sometimes I want to see John Wick kick people's ass. I don't need to read grunt, man kills other man.
I mean, for me, it's actually stressful because I watch anime quite a bit recently, and I've gotten good at reading and then going back to the image. But it's
Flicking
for me
your eyes
like
down? Yeah, that's
it's
good.
stressful. I can't like sit back and watch as much as I can something that's in a language I understand.
I think that's
for sure.
When you look at games, they're like one of the things I like in games is if a person is another nationality and you're like, let's say you live in an English speaking area, but then a Russian character comes in, I do actually like them to speak in Russian. Does that make sense? That I do like, because it shows them as an outsider in the world. That I love. In fact, if they switch, then sometimes it bothers me, where I'm like, okay, they didn't need to do that. That person's from, completely different.
It doesn't make
place.
sense
It
for
doesn't
them
make
to
sense
speak.
So if that's and sometimes it is possible. Some games are like, NPCs speak native tongue or what have you. I like that. I think that's very cool. A lot of people watch anime in here. It's so funny because as a staunch opposer of anime, I'm just joking. I don't oppose it, but not a big fan. I have a lot of animation fans. A lot of people watch Attack on Titan. The last one I saw was Samurai Champloo, and that was like 10 years ago.
Actually, I watched that. I
thought it was pretty good.
Pretty decent.
Yeah.
Listen, speaking of animation, the What If animation series.
I'm ready to watch those. Yeah. Are they good?
It's pretty good. Yeah,
Cool.
it's quite good,
Cool.
actually.
I'm excited
Only
to
2
see
episodes thus far, but they're coming out.
First one is if what's her name became Captain America, right?
Yeah, Captain Carter.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the second one is the Wakanda guy is is the Star-Lord?
No, that's Black
I'm blanking
Panther.
now.
Oh, you mean if Black Panther became Star-Lord?
Yes.
Dude, see, that's the stuff nerds are made of, right?
And I love that kind of thing.
I do too.
I'm waiting for one with Iron Man and War Machine because I love War Machine and he doesn't get a lot of airtime. So I would love to see like War Machine as a main plot point.
Craigie says, "Hey, Karak, just did a year sub on Patreon. Finally have the money to give back. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully I've saved you. It was my turn to give you the tip. Wah, wah. You rock. I definitely
Not like
appreciate
that.
it. It's very nice of you. People are like, did Reg die of the Hornet? No, but I'll tell you, some people are allergic as hell to those. About 6-7 months ago, I was in my backyard and we had this big empty stump and I wasn't really thinking about checking it first. And I was cutting another limb and I put it on the stump and the chainsaw vibrated it and it was a hornet's nest. And I remember going, man, my leg hurts. And I looked down, there were like 10 on there, just fucking swelled up. You said it yourself. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy I liked a lot. I like their characters a lot. I love this kind of stuff, and I would love to see video games do something like that. Well, remember, you know how Metal Gear sometimes messes around with Snake and that kind of stuff? I like that kind of thing, where it's like, who's the main character of Metal Gear this game? Are you talking to Reg? Has he said anything?
No, I haven't got anything back. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure he's fine, guys. Don't worry.
What if he came back and his head's like this fucking big? He's like, oh, stung. Hopefully he'd record it. Murder Hornets are up in Washington State, going to hit Oregon at some point. Dude, I stay in my house. I wish someone had done something, had come with a Gambit movie. Yeah, Gambit's one of my favorite ones. Definitely one of my favorite ones. Any questions you guys have? We're just sort of rambling, even though we have like 45 minutes left. This is the problem sometimes with us, especially Johnny and I, because we'll start talking about random shit.
Oh, dude, we'll go on an AI tangent or something and spend an hour.
Don't get me. Oh, hey, speaking of that, I'm glad you mentioned that. Who wrote that? Somebody ended up recording a question about AI. Lord Metroid recorded a question about AI I wanted to answer, so I'm going to play that. While I do this, check with Reg, would you?
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing? A long time fan of your podcast, ACG. The other guys, you guys are great. My question is, with all the advancement we have in, technical, graphical fidelity and all that good stuff, I sometimes feel like AI gets neglected. Do you think that developers should focus more on enemy AI instead of giving us the latest great and, tech, knowledgeable graphical advancement? Because it's getting to a point that it's getting ridiculous. Some of these AI it's just bad. Love the show, guys. You take care.
Okay. That finish? So, one of the questions that has come up multiple times is, why is it that AI has not got better in games?
Right.
Do you think that it hasn't? Or do you think, we've talked about this, where it's like, is it just because they don't want AI so intelligent already, they know where you are in the game world? So, which one do you think it is? And has there been an AI that surprised you? Or that made you, it doesn't matter if it's real, but made you feel like it was good AI in a game?
So I think that there are two aspects to it. One is that it has improved, but in small ways. Mm-hmm. And then the other part is the expectations of people sometimes are impossible, because I think they don't understand like what's possible, let's say, right? So they want Timmy to recognize that his partner Roland is now missing and wants him to have an emotional reaction because they've been patrolling together for years. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to happen in a Splinter Cell game. But for me, I've seen improvements. For example, Uncharted 4, if you compare that to Uncharted 3, the prior game, clearly the AI is very effective at flushing you out of cover, because they said, hey, people are just camping in cover in Uncharted 3, and they're breezing through the game in that way, and it's becoming boring. let's fix it, right? The AI is improved so that now if you're just sitting in one point, they flush you out. They have strats to actually flush you out, and they're quite good at it. So I think there are improvements, but what are your thoughts?
So, sorry, somebody mentioned Operation Flashpoint, and that's like a trigger word for me. I always have to respond and say how much I like it. So AI, talking to the guy, one of the guys from Halo, and the people working on AI for how Halo does things, which is sort of classes and checks, is a leader here. If they're not, here's how we react. If they are there, we sort of have more ability to attack. The Ascent. Some people didn't like its AI. Some people did. I actually thought the Ascent, man, when you're hiding, those dudes are leaping behind you. They're flanking you. Worked completely perfect. I agree that for the most part, we don't hear that it's getting better. But I have talked to people who are saying that people who work on the AI are like, we're getting much more CPU cycles for it. And at some point, you just don't want them to be too intelligent because they do know where you are. So Alien Isolation, and I've told you this 100 times, but Alien Isolation had 2 AIs. The AI, which knew exactly where you were, like any AI technically does, and then an AI that lied to the alien and would basically not update the alien on exactly where you were at times. And that was the only way to make it feel flexible and different each time.
Yeah.
There's different ways to do it, man. But I agree that it doesn't feel like it got better, but I also agree that at times you'll see something and you'll be like, holy shit, this AI, for example, Ascent. Most twin stick shooters aren't known for their AI. They're known for their bullet hell patterns that you have to dodge. That's it. This game had you leaning over, and the enemies would lean over cover. Now, admittedly, you see that in first person, so technically you could just say it was a change to the camera, and so it's not amazing. But they were flushing me out, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of games. How many games have you played? You can play for 2 hours, and the enemy never tries to flank you. Reggie, you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So here's another
okay?
Here's another thing. Gears of War, and I talk about this all the time. I still think there's 2 types of AI that I love, and Halo and Gears happen to be 2 complete opposites of this. Halo's AI is legendarily flexible and does crazy shit, and it's actually a fairly intelligently well run script. It's not really amazing in what they're doing. Then you play Gears. You can enter a battle facing north, and when you're done, you're facing fucking south because they've flanked you so many times and used especially if you're on the harder difficulties. Those are 2 where it's not necessarily flexible because the locations are just walls. Like, how many times have you played Halo and been like, why the fuck is that wall right there? That makes no sense. Oh, it's there so you can hide behind it because you know an enemy's coming. But it still works really well. And I think that those 2, we see those kind of things. I don't know how much better it needs to get. What I mean, it's not needs to. What I'm saying is, if it gets too good, you're going to be playing Operation Flashpoint on the highest level, which I can tell you, a real army, there's a reason why when you go into like Airsoft and you play against SWAT members, you never win. Ever. It's ridiculous. My brother was a hunter all his life, and I got out of it when I was about 30. That dude, 1 guy against 4 would annihilate us every time because he actually knew everything he was supposed to do at any different time. So it's like, you don't want it to be too intelligent because I think you'd get your ass smoked.
That's a great point, and that also shows that people don't know what the fuck they want, because they say they want good AI. No, they want AI that behaves human-like
and doesn't get caught on a tree limb. That's different, right? That's pathfinding, that's the texture nev mesh. That's the actual navigation mesh is not done correctly, so a person gets stuck on a route. That's not necessarily the AI.
You're right. If that fails, that's almost like the plumbing. Then it's very noticeable. It needs to be in place.
Right.
But there's a layer on top where when people mention good AI, it's typically because it reminded them of how a human would behave in that situation in some way. And I think it's very interesting, the point you raise about imperfect information, because that's very human, right? One thing, I was talking with a very good friend today, and she said something that makes sense. In Neo 1, sometimes the enemy does input reading. So it reads what you input and reacts like immediately, right?
Right.
We don't like that,
right?
Because that's not human. Right? It's technically good AI because it's a good response. It's like an unbeatable response to your attack.
Yeah.
But we don't want that.
Right.
Instead, we want something that's almost like original thought in some way, and they have their own thought process that we can relate to.
It's, we're looking at all these games. One that's brought up a lot that had pretty poor AI, but they faked it well. And by the way, people are probably going to get mad, but it's Fear. Fear 1 and 2. So Fear 1 and 2 are shooters, horror shooters, and they're considered very good AI. But when you actually read about what they did, it was almost all fake and smart. They would fake you out by having one AI say what they were going to do, which would make you think they were communicating. They weren't at all. The decision was already made. It just blurts out a bark, is what it's called. AI bark. A bark meaning a vocal blurb. And so they'd be like, running around. And you'd be like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, the computer was just like, this is the algorithm we're running with. There wasn't really anything flexible going on. There wasn't anything like that. But yeah, I guess it just depends on the game. Reg, is there any game? Are you back? Are you able to yak?
Yeah, I'm back. The wasp is hopefully gone.
Is there any AI that you remember that you liked? That you were like, man, this feels... I mean, I know you're not necessarily, I want to play a super hard game, but is there any that did something, let's say, that you were like, wow, I like the way...
Well, I don't remember the game, but I like, for example, when they try to like circle around you,
flank you and stuff.
If they flank you, etc. Yeah, that's basically.
Do you ever?
If they react to what you're doing instead of just keep coming,
right?
The typical would be like a game where you shoot one guy while you're standing behind the doorway, and then they keep coming.
Death Conga.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna hear that. Terrible, yeah. You're gonna hear that in a couple reviews coming up. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? When you get the guy come through the or stuff coming through an opening or an area, and you can tell that that's like where they're coming from, and you're all just bang, 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 and you just keep shooting. And you're like, come on, man! At some point, look and go.
Or
go ahead.
Or like if there's a dead colleague of theirs in front of their feet, and they go like, must have been the wind,
Dude, and every game does. I don't know how you beat that, by the way, because then it could be where you could never get a dead state in the AI, where the AI lets you sneak again, because they just...
Yeah.
But I was playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I kill this guy, and he looked down, and he's like... And he does that thing where I'm like, oh, fuck, he's searching. Like, he sees... I shot a bird. That's what it was, a hawk, because they have hawks with them. And I shot his hawk. It lands on his head, and then does a thing where it lands and then slides sideways and falls because there isn't an angle, which was fine.
Amazing.
And he looked, and then he's like, huh. And he goes... And I'm just like, dude.
Must have been nothing.
Dude, the bird had an arrow in its head, but at the same time, I do get where AI developers, man, they have a hard time, right? They don't have a lot of CPU resources, and they have to... But I think NavMesh, you brought up a good point. NavMesh is a bitch. When you see a guy, it's almost like you wish the AI would disappear, but you don't want that. But when they get stuck, it's so terrible looking. Dude, how many games?
It breaks your immersion.
Where the guy's running against a wall, and you're like, please! Just because it ruins everything. No matter how good you are, you're like, I can see him. He's in my space doing nothing. Like, almost if they just kill themselves, but that'd be weird. You're like, it's pretty depressing. What were we going to say, Johnny?
Well, I think it's also like return on investment.
Yeah.
It's going to take a huge investment to make a breakthrough in an AI for an engine. What's the return? Realistically, a large segment of the audience playing these games don't really give a crap about it, or they're fine with like it's mostly us like nerding about it.
Hey, I have a question. Yeah, you know what they'll get? The return on investment is less shitty YouTube videos from me bitching about the AI.
There you go.
Can somebody tell me how to pronounce this name? Piotr. Is that Peter?
Piotr.
There we go.
I think.
He said First Rage had good AI, or maybe fun. You're right on fun. So I don't know if you guys remember what it did was, it does what Aliens games do, a lot of different games. The AI would leap side to side on its way to you. So this is so crazy how the AI worked. A lot of games, an enemy runs straight towards you, or they run and they find cover. What this game did was, when an enemy decided to come towards you, it did not draw a straight line in the Nev. It would go like 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet. It would check to verify it could go in a straight line, but it would go in a slower straight line because it was dodging, so you have a takeaway from that. If an enemy gets to you quickly, it can hit you with an up-close weapon. But if you can't hit them and they come to you slower, they may not have suffered any damage. So John Carmack was like, let's have it so that they still run towards you, but they're going to dodge back and forth, which, by the way, you never see Halo do, right? A grunt in Halo or a guy who's going to blow him up would just run straight towards you. When you play the first Rage, the first guy you try to fire, he leaps like to the side. And I remember the first time seeing that being like, what the fuck? It was so awesome. It wasn't Dead Space does that. Okay. I didn't remember that. But anyway, that is what I want to see. Flexibility so that and that's why I love it when people leap over walls in like a Mass Effect where you feel like a hero. Like you all leap over a wall, the bad guys leap over a wall. You know, you do the thing like the parkour, slide your ass over.
Vaulting.
It looks, looks good. And looking good, let's be honest, man, looks matter. It does in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
and it make them look
matters.
proficient and competent.
Right.
If your squad is, vaulting over a car with technique, that shows they're competent.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And even if they couldn't fire well, movement causes it to be slightly harder for you to fire well.
Yeah.
And that's also a part of AI. And we should have an AI developer on here because some of the guys I've talked to, dude, like the Halo AI, I didn't know at first just like how in-depth it was and found out it wasn't as much as I thought. Game of Sutra, by the way, if you guys are listening, Game of Sutra has one of the discussions on the AI class system that works, or scripting system / class system that works in Halo. And I was just reading it going, well, that's not actually that hard to understand. It was just like looking around going, is a leader here? If they are, I have like more courage. This may happen. If they're not, depending on which leader, like it was pretty easy stuff. It was pretty easy stuff, but it turned out it just works, man. That first Halo, in some of those battles, when they're moving and they're retreating, when you would come into a room and they'd be like, the devil! The little dudes, the grunts would be like...
The little dudes especially, always hiding behind some...
It felt so... You felt like a god. You were like, they're talking about me when I'm not there. Which, by the way, most people I know won't care about that, but to me, the world existing prior to me getting there is 80% of why I love a world. Like when you come around a corner and there's a car crash, you're like, whoa, what happened here? I didn't cause it. What happened here? And when they say it's the devil, not he's a devil, or they say it's the demon, blah, 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 it's almost like they talked about you prior, which is in the fiction. But in the game, such a good moment to be like,
very cool.
You motherfuckers, you talk about me when I'm not here. Like a girlfriend. You're like, are you thinking
you have
about
a
me?
reputation.
Yeah. This is so awesome. Let's see. What is going on with the lighting, Reg? Do you have emergency vehicles parked outside? No, he's got a bad green screen lighting today. He was having issues with that. It looks fine to me.
It's just
I haven't seen
blurry background.
Sometimes it's flashing,
sometimes
but
it's
I
flashing.
don't know why.
It's fine.
The Geth Snipers in Mass Effect 1, not good AI, but it was friggin' annoying movement patterns. Yeah. Any others you guys can think of that are really good? I will say, do you know the AI and the gameplay that needs to be fixed? The game was just announced recently. I don't know how they're going to do this. Ace Combat cannot continue to play where you just fire unlimited missiles.
Oh.
And I don't know how to fix it. And I'm sure they don't know either. But at some point, it's not about how well you fly. Does that make sense? It's just like, can you hit your chaff when you need to and then line them up so that your magic missile hits them? And I don't know what you do. I don't know how you fix that, but I've noticed some of those games have a really old feeling to them. Like very old, cumbersome AI. I would like to see that repaired. Sniper Elite 4 is a fun game. Not sure about the AI. AI is bad in Sniper. Those games are not very good.
Yeah, I played with a friend. They walk into gunfire and they're like, oh, Timmy died. Let me go check it out.
The best part about them, right?
Pile
Johnny,
of corpses.
Is shooting them in slow motion. I mean, that's what Elite, that's what Elite sells you.
And playing with a friend and being strategic, like it coordinating, for me, it feels good.
That's why racing games, Forza Horizon and stuff, when you're with friends, you never race as a team. That I don't think there's team races in Forza Horizon.
Right.
But I would like it to where, like, if we were on an ACG team, 3 of us, and we were against, like, another YouTuber's team, you could, if somebody wasn't as good, they'd be like, dude, I'm going to take them out. Right? Like, that would be awesome. And we don't see, I don't know. Some people probably think that's terrible as an idea, but I think for some game it could be good. Dishonored 2 AI would recognize if the comrades were missing. Most games will recognize. What we were talking about is what they do afterwards and how quickly they reset to their
like 5 seconds up.
Wasn't it Phantom Pain where they put the helmets on? And that was a fatality too, but they put the helmets on so it made you feel, you know.
Yeah, at some point they do it regardless, but it does end up feeling like they did it in response.
They do it regardless because you get farther and farther and the world considers you more dangerous. But at the starting, if you shoot heads, they will put it on even more quickly. So to me, that's still
it's still reactive.
Still a win. It's still a win.
Yeah.
What else do we got?
Actually, can we talk about 12 minutes?
Yes.
Have you played Karak?
No, but I just don't spoiler it for people listening. But you can talk about.
We will not.
You can talk about anything. Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about a couple of things about that game and that type of games in general, and why I think it's difficult to make a good one. So that game, just for people who don't know, just very brief back of the book description, right? You're in a 12-minute time loop that repeats itself endlessly. So insert your movie metaphor of choice here. And you need to get to the bottom of the mystery to solve the time loop. And it's a point and click. It's you, your wife, and then a cop that goes into your house, and then stuff happens. Those are kind of the main things in it. And for me, even though the story was very interesting, actually, and the voice acting was good, some of the writing was a bit contrived, and I think that there's an inherent problem with that format, that because you're hearing the same lines over and over in a loop, right, by definition, your level of scrutiny over what's being said is very high. Yes. Because you listen to the same sentences over and over. So the writing that would seem passable or fine or even great at first starts to seem artificial as fuck, right? And then there's the problem as well of them connecting different sentences. So, you know, they record different sentences and they are played in sequence under different circumstances. So there's a difference in tone sometimes where you're talking with your wife in a normal tone, and then because of the option you selected next, you're now screaming. And the conversation is totally disconnected now, right? So there are all these kinds of clumsy problems that come with that type of game, which makes it difficult. And the thing for me that irks me about this game specifically and games of this type is that very often, if you don't choose the exact sequence of events that lead you to the end point, to where they want you to go, you can get stuck very easily, can get very frustrating because you have to listen to stuff again. And, you know, maybe you don't find the answer, right? And maybe you're stuck listening to the same stuff over and over because you didn't.
Then? Hello, how are you doing? Is it dynamically chooses? Like, it's like, so if you say, I've got this sword, then it might grab 3 or 4 sentences, and those sentences don't feel tonally the same?
Yeah, so, exactly. So the order of stuff, the order in which stuff is said can differ based on what you choose and what happens.
I see.
So it doesn't always connect fully. But like I was saying, that the main thing for me is if you don't do stuff in the exact sequence many times, it doesn't give you the outcome. So you got to keep trying and keep trying different permutations of small changes.
There is only one solution.
There is only one solution.
Oh, I see.
If instead of taking the item in preparation and then handing it to the person, you thought that they were just going to be able to look at it on the fridge, maybe that doesn't work. And so you have to retry the entire loop. And this is just one example of many things that can, for me, can generate a lot of frustration. I think it will really depend. If you get lucky and it goes very smoothly for you, it will feel like magic, like it was put together masterfully. But if, like for me, it becomes this clumsy thing, you will see the underpinnings of the game very clearly. And it will break your immersion quite a bit because you can almost see how the game is constructed in a deep way.
Reg,
like that.
Same?
For me, it worked better because I didn't have that stuck moment apart from one single time where I couldn't find something specific. And then I basically looked up that part and was like, oh, down there. Okay. But apart from that, it worked fine for me. But I see where Johnny is coming from for sure, because there is only one way through the game. It's not like a Telltale game where they give
Or a
you
Detroit
fake
Become
choice,
Human, which I think did it well.
or Detroit, where you actually can choose and where you can have different outcomes. This is a game where you have to puzzle through it, and there is only one correct answer to everything.
You know, did you guys see their comment today, which was really awesome? They stated that during playtesting, this was the reaction they got. Was positive and negative, where like it either worked or didn't. I was wondering, the reason why I was asking you guys is neither one of you are first language English speakers, and I was wondering if paying attention to paying attention because your brain is a tiny bit more hardwired to pay attention to English. I was trying to figure out if maybe that brought up the repetition. But if Reg didn't notice it and you did, I don't think that's what it is, because he would have noticed it too over time.
The repetition for sure is there, but it didn't bother me because that is part of the game.
And because I guess it sounds like you maybe didn't have that stuck part, because the loop shit would bother anybody, I think, especially when you find out that the loop.
Well, it's because the time.
It's not a game.
It always happens the same. So if you're really stuck, then the events play out and you reset again, and you're like, okay, I'm no smarter. I still don't know what to do. And then it keeps happening over and over and over again until you happen to find the right thing to click to. So it can quickly become frustrating if you don't find the right thing to do. And there is only one right thing to do.
I mean, yeah, because even Telltale, which I think some people consider budget, and I don't. I think Telltale spent good amounts of money on voice actors. Lee is incredible. So was not Clarice. That's from Silence of the Lambs. What's her name? The little girl.
Clementine.
Clementine.
Yeah, Clementine.
Yeah.
I think they were great voice actors. I think Kenny was my fave. He was my fave. I know Kenny was just a piece of shit. I loved him. I love that dude. But here's the thing about Telltale. Usually there was a couple ways, and in fact that was what the game was about, was that you and I would have a different story. If there is no different story, it's not even the same as like a Sherlock Holmes game where there's like one ending or something. Hang on, I got to delete this. There is something to be said for those kind of games. I don't dislike them. I don't at all. I just think maybe they should have packaged it different, like an experience, because walking titles are very close to that. Walking simulators are very close to that.
It has more gameplay than a walking simulator, but it still has the same methodology pretty much, because there is one story to be told, and that's it.
I mean, forewarned, people get on me all the time. They'll be like, man, this game wasn't near as bad as you said. And I'm like, dude, my job is to warn you about the impact of the problems as well as the good stuff, and not to tell you that you will for sure run into them. It's just, this is what you might or what you can get. So forewarned, I actually have less of an issue now, because now if I play it, you guys have already told me that this kind of, and your armor is up. Now, some people, they don't play games like that, and they're like, they'll hate it more. I'm not like that. I'm like, all right, you guys told me about this. I get it. I understand what this may present itself as, and I actually have less of an issue now. So I'm glad we talked about it, because to me now I can go into it, and I heard this yesterday in the Discord. Like, oh, by the way, everybody join the Discord. It's awesome. It is $5, but join the Discord, trust me. But we had a good discussion in the Discord where people were talking about, getting to the same spot no matter what. But it was funny because underlining that, while some people didn't like it, there were other people who were like, you know what? I sort of like, you could almost tell there was an acceptance that was happening, 5 stages of grief, maybe. But
Yeah.
there was like, okay, I know where we're going with this. And then they were okay with it after that. They were like, all right, I get it. Some people hated it. And again, the developer was very open and they stated, listen, we know people have had really polarizing like gameplay with this. I guess
I think even if you do it ideally, like if you know exactly what to do every run, it's probably at least 12 loops or so to play through.
Okay. And oh, by the way, what I was going to say was, if you pare down the frustration, is the story interesting? Interesting, not amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
It is interesting.
See, that makes me much
actually.
more. Then I'll play it because, I can deal with that. I can deal if the story itself is actually interesting, something puzzling.
And I mean, the cast in it is really it's very good, right? Willem Dafoe, maybe one of the
Daisy
most
Ridley.
distinctive voices. Daisy Ridley, great voice.
Yeah. Great voice.
Great everything. Sorry, I got distracted.
Hang on, I'm looking up Daisy Ridley to hear her voice.
Looking up pictures of.
No, just voice samples.
Right.
That game, somebody's mentioning Kentucky Route 0 or that Route 96 or whatever it is another one of
Route
these.
96.
Blues and Bullets.
That's also one I played through, actually.
Blues and Bullets didn't make it all the way, but it made to its second, and I really liked that, and it was a little less choicey than I guess if you just know. If you're warned, then it's not so bad. And I know people who, by the way, did not like Detroit Become Human because they actually did not like that, you could get the girl killed and keep going. They sort of wanted a redo, if that makes sense. And I actually get that because I got her killed. And it bothered me. I was like, that's... Yeah. I like that character. I don't know if I want to... And Walking Dead, I got the girl and the dude. The guy had a heart attack. Do you guys remember this episode? The older guy has a heart attack. I think this is season 1, episode 2. They're in the RV, and the father has a heart attack. And I think I left the girl behind. And I was like, because they got in a fight of some kind, and she didn't like me anymore because her dad died. And I was like, just stay behind. And I was like, oh, sort of wanted her to go forward. So I get it. I understand it both ways. I'm interested in getting 12 minutes. Is 12 minutes worth $25, Johnny? You're being asked.
Not in my opinion, based on my experience. But again, your experience may vary a lot. And if you can pick it up on Game Pass, then I would say certainly worth trying.
Is it Game Pass?
Yeah, it is Game Pass.
Well, dude, just check it out then. Christ's sake.
It's very worth it because, if it works out for you, it can be great because it does have a very cool story. So.
Exactly. Reg,
for
if you had to buy
$25, I would probably not be happy.
Okay, that's fair. So $15?
Yeah.
$15 for 5 hours, I think, is what I'm hearing. Yeah. And an interesting story, which, by the way, I've paid more for. So I think Ethan Carter, you probably couldn't get through most of that without everybody doing the same thing. And it's still one of my faves. So why not try anything that is on Game Pass? Exactly. Well, if you have bandwidth caps.
Unless you know it already, it's a steaming pile.
Unless you have bandwidth caps or you've already downloaded one Call of Duty game. And then you can't play.
Yeah.
Dude, 270 gigs, baby, for Call of Duty, right? Isn't that what popped up? I am doing a review for
something like that
for Psychonauts. Yeah. Insane sizes for these. So here's the thing, though. Somebody was like, can we all agree that that's too big? And I'm like, no. I don't want to get into developers and start talking about how dare you use space on my hard drive I own. I'm not there yet in my complaints. I'm in a lot of places, but I'm not there. I mean, I don't know what the compression they're using or how they're doing it, but Call of Duty games are huge. They just are.
They are. Yeah.
Didn't they remove some of the last one, guys, on a patch? I am almost 100%, or did they allow the operation to just get single player and multi?
Something got smaller.
Yeah.
By 60 gigabytes or something.
I think I remember that too. So, sometimes they have duplicate of data and stuff, but whatever. I'm okay with it. Did you guys see that people are installing the NVMe into their PS5s? I haven't heard any. I'll probably be proven wrong right now, but I haven't heard any negative. I haven't heard anybody say that.
Right, but the firmware is still only beta, right?
Yeah, it's only for that beta club, but it seems like a lot of people I know are in the beta. So I don't know how. Here's the thing. If you can't buy a PS5, then the few who got the PS5 are in the beta. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not. So.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Well, do you get what I'm saying, though? The sample size is smaller. So I would assume if 1,000 into a group of 10,000 is not the same as 1,000 into a group of, 4,000. It just feels like a lot of people I know.
But I did watch the testing videos on that, and it seems like you can basically throw whatever in there as long as it's PCI Express 4.
Here's my assumption. Sony put all this together, very fast, available bandwidth, all those kind of things. However, you have to. Spider-Man's developer, by the way, if you guys want to hear what I'm talking about, GDC about 2 years ago, the Spider-Man tech developer discussed just this. He said you have to prepare for that lowest common speed denominator in a hard drive replaceable console. And I am wondering if all this supposed speed is there possibly, but they still have to prepare for those games to be on the worst of the PCI 4 NVMEs. And that's why we've waited so long. Plus heat. Because another thing people don't realize,
you've seen the heat spreader people put in. It's like,
dude. Not only that, but on my so I'll start at 45C because I do have one in a pretty poor place externally. When I start reading and writing to that, that thing's at like 75C in seconds. And
nice.
So that's another thing is like, I wonder how much we do have this availability in bursts, right? But dude, a sustained NVMe read write. If people don't believe me, go look online at people recording how hot NVMe gets. It is ridiculous. It's not even, it's mind numbing how hot they get. And there's no fix. That's just.
I think the PS5 does a read test when you install it, and it warns you if it's lower than 5,500.
So maybe that's like. But here's the thing.
It still allows you to use it. It just says, games might suck.
Yeah. Shane asks, have we discussed Saints Row? So, a little bit. There isn't much to discuss. Saints Row is being rebooted. Their webpage goes to nowhere, and it says reboot, and I'm excited for it because I personally think that the better Saints Row gets, the better GTA will get, the better any open world will get. And because Saints Row is a big dog, but Saints Row has had multiple failures in a row.
It was very up and down.
It's very up and down. Gat Out of Hell was terrible. Oh my God, that game. That was like the 7 Days to Die equivalent of an open world game. It was ridiculously bad. So I was saying it should be called Saints Robooted instead of, but that's just me trying to fuck around with names like Mars Remastered. Whatever that was.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, terrible name.
Oh, God.
That was a bad decision.
Dude, here's the thing. You can run around and beat people up with a dildo. You can shoot people with poop out of a fucking sewer truck.
Mm-hmm. Dubstep cannon and whatever.
Dubstep cannon. The thing about Saints Row is it wasn't held to the real life parody that
not
right.
At all.
And 4 dived. I know people who love GTA 4, and I certainly am. I thought it was awesome, but it has a different tonal feel. Saints Row is like freckle bitches instead of Wendy's. Like, it's hilarious. It's just out of the blue weird shit. So to me, I want Saints Row to come back bigger and better than ever, but I just realized something as I was talking and all confidence was shattered. I am pretty sure they're owned by Embracer Group.
Well, what isn't?
They're not going to get a lot of money. Speaking of a lot of money.
Speaking of,
let's
great
talk about
segue.
Outriders. Yeah. So,
Amazing.
one of the things, by the way, I would like to know if people like the thumbnails for the comic thumbnail. I've been enjoying making them, but if you don't like them, what have you, if you have feedback on fixing them, that's one thing. We can worry about that later, but I wanted to know, do those work for you? Do you like seeing those comic thumbnails for the podcast and for the review? So they said they didn't get any money yet. And
Yes.
wasn't it Nier, Automata's developer in 2017, 2018 also tweeted that they didn't get money from Square. So is Square bad? Like, are they shit at writing checks? Or is this the Game Pass thing? Some people are like, oh, it must be Game Pass. But other companies have stated they did incredibly well, including Square. It's the developers who stated that they didn't get money. So Square was like, it's worked great for us. The developers like, we haven't got any money.
Yeah.
That feels like a Square versus like the developer kind of thing versus anybody else. It feels like that's their issue. I don't know. I could be wrong. Did that person get back in?
Yeah, they did.
Anyway, bye. But I don't know.
More or less, because I mean, yeah, it still stays.
Yeah, true. But what do you guys think? Like overall,